Chapter 301. Yunjioga had also heard of this aphrodisiac. It was said that once it took effect, it would not even let off a sough. She counted the peach blossom petals on the gray wolf stall owner's body. There were a total of 9 petals. It could be seen that the gray wolf stall owner had been poisoned for a period of time, and it was unknown how he managed to survive. I heard that aside from stimulating a man's male hormones, this poison also has a special effect on certain materials, such as spirit bones. Is that true? Yunjioga asked Zishang. Why don't you take some from him and try it? Zishang could tell that Yunjioga's hands were itching to get rid of the poison. All right, for the sake of the 3,000 spirit jades, I will be merciful and save his life, Yunjioga said as she tore off the gray wolf vendor's clothes, revealing his muscular upper body. Needless to say, his figure was really not bad. His muscles contained strength, and one look and you could tell that he was a macho man. Zishang frowned when he saw Yunjioga taking off a man's clothes. He was extremely displeased. Yunjioga was busy studying the poison and did not realize that he had touched Zishang's reverse scale. This poison is truly interesting. Yunjioga's eyes shone with excitement. Generally, the way to dispel the aphrodisiac was to relieve it by masturbating. However, the peach blossom charming bone poison was the exact opposite. The more you masturbated, the deeper the poison would be. Even if you used up all your yang energy and broke your penis, it would still be useless. In the end, they would still die a horrible death from the poison. This gray wolf stall owner probably knew how powerful this poison was, so he had been holding it in after he was poisoned. Now, it wasn't hard to get rid of it. Central, Shinkei. Yunjioga quickly found the acupuncture points to detoxify. The thunder fire needle flashed with a pale purple light and pierced it from top to bottom, from left to right, and began to expel the poison. Drops of pink liquid seeped out of the gray wolf stall owner's wheat-colored skin, making him look like an adorable flower. Speaking of which, the gray wolf stall owner was quite lucky. The outer sex-ene skill that he practiced had an innate cold-blooded effect. It had a certain suppressive effect on this kind of aphrodisiac, which was why he could endure it for so long. If an ordinary spiritualist was poisoned, he would have died of hunger and thirst long ago. After Yunjioga forced the peach blossom charming bone poison out, he carefully collected it in a jade bottle. Thank Big Sister. It's not a waste to spend 3,000 spirit jades. Yunjioga kindly helped the gray wolf stall owner find a safe place to hide before leaving. Wolf woke up very quickly. Before he could fully open his eyes, he immediately went to check his storage bag. F***CK, as soon as he opened it, he discovered that all the spirit jades were gone. Even the big bone that he usually used as a mount for the bear beast was gone. Motherf***ker, it must be the guy who bought the Gale wolf bone from me today. Wolf Fang's intuition had always been sharp. He had always felt that the big bone was very unusual. Unfortunately, no matter how hard he tried, he still couldn't find out the secret behind it, so he kept it with him as a stool. He didn't expect that it would be snatched away by someone who knew what it was. If I find out who it is, I will definitely have my revenge today. Wolf Fang secretly decided in his heart. It just so happened that those 4 Gale wolf bones were very conspicuous. As long as he dared to take them out and use them, he would definitely discover them. Wolf stood up from the ground. Suddenly, he felt that something was wrong with his body. He hadn't felt that relaxed feeling in a long time. He pulled down his lapel and looked down. He found that the peach blossom petal that the Hehuan sect woman had made under his collarbone had disappeared. Then, he reached down and touched the Jingu Bang, which was always bulging, also calmed down a lot. Could it be that the poison has been cured? Wolf was overjoyed. Previously, he had chased a Gale wolf into the bewildering beast forest of the Hehuan sect. He was careless and was sneak attacked by that group of little wenches, almost being toyed to death by them. He spent a lot of effort to escape. Unfortunately, he couldn't find someone who knew how to cure the poison. He could only circulate his chi every day to freeze 3 inches below his navel. The feeling of his little dick being frozen was not good. He thought that if he couldn't find anyone, he could only bite the bullet and find his future master, the White Bones Elder. He didn't expect that after being beaten up today, the poison would be cured. Originally, Wolf Fong wanted to find the robbers to settle the debt. Now, he suddenly felt that it would be very beneficial to know such a powerful expert. There were too few people in the Een Corpse sect who could refine pills and cure poisons. Yin Jioga didn't know that Wolf Fong was thinking of ways to hug her thigh. After she came back, she prepared a bottle of black ink and soaked the bones of the Tempest Wolf in it. These bones were very rare among the outer sect disciples. It would be too conspicuous to take it out directly. It had to be processed first. After Yin Jioga processed the 4 bones of the Gale Wolf, she took out the big bear beast bone and asked the treasure-seeking scorpion, "What kind of treasure is this? Why didn't it have any spiritual energy?" "I don't know. I just saw 2 spots in the middle that were particularly bright. It's definitely a treasure." The treasure-seeking scorpion waved its big pincers and said confidently, "Light spots?" Yin Jioga couldn't find any clues after turning it over and over, so she asked Zishang, "Do you see the light spots?" "I am not a treasure-seeking demon." Zishang was only interested in those things that could supplement his demonic power. "Forget it. Let's cut it first." Yin Jioga was a man of his word. He took out a knife, and under the guidance of the treasure-seeking scorpion, he cut off the 2 light spots. Then, he slowly polished them. Finally, he found 2 thumb-sized beads in the gray bone seam. It was also gray and dull, without any spiritual energy, let alone light. "This is the inner core of a pearlfish?" Zishang's eyes were sharp this time. He recognized it at a glance. Does a pearlfish also have an inner core? Although Yin Jioga had never seen one before, the 2 stones in her hand didn't look like one. It's probably because it was petrified for too long that its spiritual energy was sealed. Zishang took the small beads from Yin Jioga's hand and gently squeezed them. Finally, there were only 2 white beads the size of rice grains left in her palm, shining with a soft light. This kind of pearl fish is the bear beast's favorite food. Only 2 out of 100,000 can cultivate an orb. I think this bear beast accidentally swallowed these 2 pearl fish into its stomach, but unfortunately, it was killed before it could digest them. In the end, the orb fused with the bear's bones. These were all Zishang's guesses, but he felt that the truth shouldn't be too far off. What's the use of this inner core? Can it be eaten? Yin Jioga swallowed her saliva. She felt that after practicing the 10,000 beast spell, she had become much more beastly. This inner core has been left for too long. You can't eat it. Zishang was afraid that Yin Jioga would have a problem eating it. He didn't like it either. Squeak, squeak, squeak. At this time, the treasure-seeking scorpion said embarrassedly, "Master, can you give my wife one? My wife is about to evolve recently." "What is your wife going to evolve into? Is it also a treasure-seeking scorpion?" Yin Jioga asked. She remembered that treasure-seeking scorpions were born as spirit beasts. She had never heard of an ordinary scorpion evolving into one. Chapter 302. Yeah, I didn't expect my wife to have such an opportunity. If she evolves successfully, it will be much easier for us to have children in the future. The treasure-seeking scorpion had always wanted a child, and it would be best if it could look like its wife. It would definitely be a beautiful child. At that time, the family of 3 could not only search for treasures together, but also help its master fight, which would definitely make more money for revenge. I didn't expect the inner core of the pearl fish to have such benefits. Yin Jioga sighed. She and Zishang had used a lot of it, so it didn't matter if she gave it to the treasure-seeking scorpion. The treasure-seeking scorpion had been with her for a long time, and it had made contributions and worked hard, so it was not too much to ask for an inner core. She was about to agree when the little skeleton monkey squatting in the corner suddenly walked over. Its soul fire jumped crazily as it looked at the inner core on Yin Jioga's hand, and its desire was overflowing. Master, I asked first, so it has to be behind me. The treasure-seeking scorpion immediately became nervous, really worried that Yunjioga would refuse it. After all, this new skeleton monkey helped its master get a lot of energy for cultivation, so it was much more useful than it. You're just a skeleton, what are you doing? Go away. Yunjioga waved his hand. The skeleton didn't have an inner core, so it would be a waste to give it to it. The soul fire in the eyes of the little skeleton monkey immediately dimmed, and it looked like it could be extinguished at any time. Okay, I'll make a bucket of energy water for you to drink. Yunjioga felt that she really owed it. But there was no other way. Without this little skeleton monkey, she couldn't get so much energy, so she could only coax it. Crack, crack. The little skeleton monkey shook its big head happily, and its soul fire jumped happily again. Good boy, go back and stay. I'll make it for you later. After coaxing the little skeleton monkey back, Yunjioga rewarded the treasure-seeking scorpion with an inner core of the pearl fish and 2 bottles of cherry pills. After all, it was the one who found the inner core of the pearl fish. Although it couldn't use it, it still had to be encouraged. Thank you, Master. The treasure-seeking scorpion was so happy that it almost popped up. Its previous masters all used it as a tool. No matter what treasures they found, they would not think of it. Instead, they would abuse it and its wife. Only this current master was the most generous. The treasure-seeking scorpion used its pincers to carry the inner core and the cherry pill into the sack to look for its wife. Wife, look, this is the inner core and sugar pill that master gave to me. Eat it and you'll become like me. The treasure-seeking scorpion placed the inner core in front of his wife and said proudly. So many. The female scorpion's eyes widened. It had been preparing to evolve recently and was starving every day. It could not wait to stuff the inner elixir into its mouth, then opened the bottle of cherry elixir and wolfed it down. The female scorpion stuffed one by one into its mouth, as if it hadn't eaten for hundreds of years. The treasure-seeking scorpion secretly swallowed its saliva and kept trying to persuade its wife, eat slowly. No one is fighting with you. The female scorpion swallowed 19 cherry pills in one go. She only remembered the treasure-seeking scorpion when there was only one left. She immediately pushed it in front of him in embarrassment. Honey, eat it. I won't eat it. The treasure-seeking scorpion waved its pincers and pushed it back. It chuckled and said, eat more and nourish your body. Then, you can help me give birth to little scorpions. After the female scorpion ate the last cherry pill, it did not forget to slap the treasure-seeking scorpion shyly with its stinger. You're dead. The treasure-seeking scorpion was slapped away, but its face was still filled with happiness. In the past, it had taken a fancy to its wife's strong body and powerful stinger. It had been a long time since it was slapped. It felt so good. Yunjioga looked at the interaction between the treasure-seeking scorpion couple in amusement. The female scorpion had really changed a lot after being raised by her for a period of time. The scars from Lu Yunfei's abuse had completely disappeared. Its brown carapace emitted a faint purple glow. Its body was even thicker than the treasure-seeking scorpion, and its stinger was thick and long. It was obvious that it was well-nourished. Fat scorpion, why don't you give the remaining pearl inner core to your wife? Yunjioga was quite confident in the female scorpion. She believed that in time, the female scorpion would definitely give birth to a group of healthy scorpion babies. If they were all treasure-seeking scorpions, then she would be rich. She would be able to collect treasures just by sitting down every day. No need, one is enough. The treasure-seeking scorpion quickly shook its head. It hesitated for a moment, then said, Master, why don't you give the one you gave birth to the fat rat? Why? Yunjioga raised her eyebrows. The treasure-seeking scorpion had not been here for long, and the skinny rat had fallen asleep. The two of them should not be friends. I have a feeling that my wife's evolution has something to do with that sleeping fat rat. The treasure-seeking scorpion could not explain that feeling. It felt that the fat rat should also be a treasure, but it could not see any clues. For such a situation to occur, either the fat rat was useless, or it was too awesome for the treasure-seeking scorpion to understand. The treasure-seeking scorpion felt that the latter was more likely. All right, I'll give it to it. Yunjioga took out the black fat rat from the cloth bag. The flower spirit pearl that was previously placed in its arms had disappeared, but it still showed no signs of awakening. You stinking brat, when are you going to sleep? You ate so many of my treasures. Just wait to be a slave for the rest of your life. Yunjioga rubbed the head of the black fat rat and thought of the fat baby it had transformed into. What on earth was this guy? It was really curious. Yunjioga stuffed the pearl fish's inner core into the black fat rat's arms. It seemed to feel that this was a good thing, and it hugged the inner core and curled up even tighter. Yunjioga ravaged it again, then put it back into the cloth bag. She took out the little female parasite for inspection. The pink cocoon's color had deepened a lot, and it was a light cherry red. The life aura coming from it was also very stable, but there was no sign of it hatching. Yunjioga crushed a cherry pill and put it on the cocoon. After it finished absorbing and recuperating, she put it back into the cloth bag. It was already late at night. After the treasure-seeking scorpion couple had their fill, they snuggled together and fell asleep. Yunjioga was tired after being busy for most of the night. She yawned and was about to go back to bed to rest. When she turned around, she saw Zishang standing silently behind her. His handsome face was so dark that it seemed like it was about to drip water. Are you trying to scare me to death in the middle of the night? Yunjioga patted her chest. Although Zishang's image was very beautiful, he was also very sinister. When he didn't speak, he was quite scary. You're scared? Then why were you so bold when you took off the man's clothes just now? Zishang's gray eyes were dark. The corners of his mouth were tightly pursed, and his whole body was full of the aura of a king who was not in a good mood. If the king was not happy, you little slut, hurry up and kneel down to apologize. What do you mean by taking off the man's clothes? I was treating a patient and saving a person. Besides, I received a consultation fee of 3,000 spirit jades. Yunjioga would not admit this crime even if she was beaten to death. Chapter 303. I remember that I was the one who defeated that guy. Zishang's eyes were cold. The 3,000 spiritual jades should have been his spoils of war, not a consultation fee. Aya, we're so familiar with each other. Why are you so calculative? Come, let's dual cultivate for a bit. It'll be your compensation. Yunjioga winked at Zishang and pushed him onto the bed. Do it yourself. Zishang lay on the bed and stared at Yunjioga with his gray eyes. I'll do it myself. Yunjioga went up without hesitation. At first, it was a little painful. What could she do? Zishang was just too big. Fortunately, he only had one stick in his human form. If 2 sticks came at her at once, she would definitely die. After Yunjioga got used to it, she began to cultivate seriously. Her long, slender, and fair legs moved up and down. She looked very alluring. At first, Zishang felt like he was watching a show, but soon, he couldn't take it anymore. However, Yunjioga seemed to be enjoying herself. It made him so angry that his teeth itched. Too slow. Zishang's eyes were dark, and he felt like a storm was brewing. It's not like we're in a hurry. Come at me if you can. Yunjioga panted slightly. This position was very strenuous. It wasn't easy to be fast. Zishang's gray eyes flashed dangerously. He grabbed Yunjioga's slender waist and lifted her up. He lifted her up forcefully and landed heavily on the ground. The huge force pierced through Yunjioga like a javelin, stimulating her spine like a bolt of electricity. Yunjioga trembled. Her strength was instantly sucked away by the strong feeling, and her body went limp. You're going to die. Yunjioga pressed her hands against Zishang's chest and glared at him. Unfortunately, her slightly red eyes didn't have any killing power. Be serious. Zishang's face was stern, and he slapped her mercilessly. Then, he held her waist and began to exert force. Every time he lifted her waist, Zishang would move back slightly. After putting as much distance between them as possible, he put her down. The violent aura was like a flood dragon in the sea, and the frequency was like rain on a banana leaf. Pure energy gathered in Yunjioga's dantian and flowed through all the meridians in her body. Slow down. Yunjioga's voice was hurried, and his words were stuttering. It was impossible for him to maintain his previous leisurely demeanor. Today, break through to the 4th level of Qi Disciple in one go. If you can't reach it, don't even think about coming down. Zishang did not have any protective feelings for the fairer sex. He was determined to teach her a lesson today. I just broke through the 3rd level of Qi refinement last month. Yunjioga was about to cry. Her current accumulation was not enough for her to make another breakthrough. If she wanted to advance, she could only rely on the aura of the purple deceased sword. Wouldn't that mean that she would die in this place? Thank me, you will become the outer sect disciple with the fastest cultivation speed. Zishang's gray eyes were dark and gloomy. The corners of his light-colored lips curled upwards, making him look indescribably cold and demonic. Yunjioga's legs trembled and his body went limp. It wasn't because of the sun, but because he was scared. She felt that she would definitely become very, very miserable. Outside the house, the Lu sisters were endlessly hesitating. Sister, senior brother Yunjio has not left the house for 3 days and 3 nights. Could something have happened to him? Lu Tian'er asked worriedly. Previously, when Yunjio went into seclusion to cultivate, he would inform the Lu sisters in advance. This time, he went into seclusion for 3 days without a word, making the 2 sisters extremely worried. One had to know that they were about to run out of Yin energy pills and gathering Yin pills. What would they do if they couldn't find someone to collect the pills from? They had already tasted the taste of good pills. If they were to go back and eat low-level pills, they would probably not be able to adapt. Don't be afraid. Senior brother Yunjio has the protection of the 1,000-year-old corpse. He will be fine. Lu Mei was not worried about this. There was no one in the outer sect who was a match for the 1,000-year-old corpse. Sister, do you think senior brother Yunjio will help us refine the bones? Lu Tian'er asked again. The 2 sisters came to find Yunjio not only to get the pills, but also to ask Yunjio to help refine 2 spirit bones. That was why they were standing guard at the door. Let's ask first. Lu Mei did not have much confidence in this. It would be better if they only asked Yunjio, but they also needed the 1,000-year-old corpse this time. They were afraid that it would not be so simple. Just when the 2 sisters were feeling uneasy and wondering if they should send another message, the door finally opened. Come in. Yunjio Ji's voice was weak and hoarse, as if he had been shouting for a long time. The Lu sisters hurriedly entered the room and did not forget to close the door. Senior brother Yunjio, what happened to you? Lu Tian'er was shocked when she saw Yunjio Ji's swollen eyes and his body was hollowed out. Nothing, sit. Yunjio Gu weakly asked the 2 sisters to sit down. Senior brother, you're in the 4th stage of Qi training? Lu Mei's eyes became sharper, and she immediately noticed that Yunjio Gu was different. Really? Lu Tian'er's eyes widened. She remembered that Yunjio Gu had just advanced to the 3rd stage of Qi training when he gave them the pills last month. It had only been a month, and he advanced again. Yes, I'm in the 4th stage of Qi training. Yunjio Gu said weakly, not happy at all. Senior brother, how did you do it? Teach us. Lu Tian'er asked impatiently. If they could learn this secret method, they would be able to go back and take revenge sooner. Lu Mei also wanted to know, but she was more cautious than her sister. She would think before asking. Once again, she discovered something unusual. Yunjioge's thousand-year-old corpse sat silently in the shadows. His usually expressionless handsome face revealed a satisfied expression, and he would occasionally look at Yunjiogu with possessive eyes. This expression reminded Lu Mei of a male beast when he conquered a female. Her heart skipped a beat, and she immediately knew how Yunjiogu advanced quickly. She and her sister could not learn this method. Seeing that Lu Tian'er wanted to continue asking, Lu Mei quickly pulled her back and said with a smile, "Sister, didn't you say you found 2 good spirit bones and wanted to ask senior brother Yunjio for help? Why don't you take them out quickly?" Lu Tian'er was stunned. Although she did not know why her sister didn't let her ask, she followed along and changed the topic. "Yes, senior brother Yunjio, a few days ago we found 2 earth spirit mouse bones at Jean Lin's place. Senior brother, please help us take a look." As she spoke, she took out 2 earthy yellow bones from her storage bag. They were 3 feet long, and the surface of the bones glowed with a faint yellow light. Although they were not very thick, the light was quite full. Yunjiogu picked up the spirit bones and examined them carefully. He nodded. "These bones are not bad." The sisters had earth spirit roots, so the bones of the earth spirit mouse were very suitable for them. Chapter 304. And these 2 spirit bones cost us all our savings. Now we can't even find a Een spirit master to help us carve runes. Lu Linger pitifully said. This earth spirit mouse burrowed very quickly and was very hard to catch. 2 spirit bones cost them all their savings. I still have 1,000 contribution points. If you want I can lend it to you first. These bones are so good, it's better to find a Een spirit master to refine them. Yunjioga said. Een spirit masters were a branch of refiners. They were experts at crafting all kinds of evil runes. They were also the most common refiners in the evil and demonic sections. To become a Een spirit master, not only did one need to have talent in crafting, they also needed money to learn runes. Normally large sects would need to spend a lot of resources to train one. The Een Corp sect had their own refining hall with 12 Een spirit masters. For level 5 Een spirit masters were there to serve the inner sect disciples. The rest were for low-level disciples to refine. But even so, the fees were very expensive. Carving a rune cost 500 contribution points. If an outer sect disciple wanted to get a good set of bone spurs, they would need to save up for a long time. 1,000 contribution points is not enough. The Lu sisters bitterly shook their heads. If they wanted to refine this set of bone spurs, they would need at least 4,000 contribution points. It was too expensive, they couldn't afford it. Then what do you plan to do? Yunjioga believed that the 2 sisters did not come to find him just to complain about being poor. Senior Yunjio, can you let Senior Een Corpse help us refine it? Lu Tian'er carefully asked. The 1,000-year-old corpse's Een Qi was very strong. If he spat out a few mouthfuls of Een Qi, the quality of the spirit bone would immediately increase by 1 level. At that time, even if he didn't refine runes, he would still be able to display the greatest power. You can ask him yourself. Yunjioga's face immediately sunk. That damn Zi Shang forced her to dual cultivate for 3 days and 3 nights. Although her cultivation went up, she lost half of her life. Now she couldn't even close her legs. Just thinking about dual cultivation made her scalp tingle. She didn't want to talk to that pervert at all. If senior brother feels troubled, then just say it. There is no need to make fun of us sisters. Lu Mei said with a bitter face. Although these 1,000-year-old corpses were powerful, they were not powerful enough to communicate with humans. To a large extent, the contractor's attitude represented them. That's right, I'm indeed in a difficult position. You guys don't know how perverted this 1,000-year-old corpse is. Rather than asking him for help, you might as well ask those Een spiritualists for free. Yunjioga took the opportunity to ridicule. She wasn't purposely making things difficult for the Lu sisters. It was just that apart from being at the level of an old corpse, everything else about Zi Shang was fake. The yin qi on his body was used to show off. How could he use it to refine the bones of the Lu sisters? We were rude. The Lu sisters smiled awkwardly. Although they were disappointed in their hearts, they did not dare to complain. They were afraid that Yunjiao would be angry, so they still had to smile and apologize, which made them look a little cute. Yunjiao originally wanted to vent his anger, but seeing them like this, he felt a little embarrassed, so he said, "How about this? Leave the 2 spirit bones here first, and I'll think of a way." She still wanted to use the 2 sisters to deal with Su Junqing, so she had to give them some benefits when necessary. Moreover, improving their strength would also be helpful to him. Because in the Yin Corpse sect, the 2 sisters were the only people she trusted. "Thank you, senior martial brother." The Lu sisters happily left the spirit bone behind and took their leave. When the 2 sisters returned to the house, Lu Tian'er whispered, "Sister, why didn't you let me ask senior brother Yunjiao about his secret cultivation method?" "Silly girl, you didn't see senior's face just now. He really ate and drank to his heart's content." Lu Mei gave her sister a look, letting her understand it herself. Lu Tian'er immediately understood that senior brother Yunjiao's cultivation was obtained by selling his body. She could not help but swallow her saliva, and said with a little fear, 7 days and 7 nights, it's not that easy to advance quickly. Lu Mei had always been a little jealous of Yunjiao's good life. Now that she saw that he was not having an easy time, she was a little happy. "Sister, we also need to work harder. We can't be left behind by senior brother Yunjiao." Lu Tian'er had a serious expression. The relationship between the 2 sisters and Yunjiao was one of mutual benefit. If they were left too far behind by him, they would not be able to follow him in the future. "Yes, you're right." Lu Mei nodded solemnly and said, "Then let's start cultivating. Since dual cultivation is faster, let's do it as well." After saying that, Lu Tian'er took off the clothes on her body, revealing a fair and smooth body that was as beautiful as white jade. "Okay." Following that, Lu Mei also took off the clothes on her body. Her jade-like skin was filled with crisscrossing dark red whip marks. It was simply a ghastly sight. Especially on her left shoulder blade, there were 2 small black and red words, "Slave." One look and one could tell that it was branded with a branding iron and evil blood ink. This kind of slave imprint went deep into the bone marrow. Unless the person who made the imprint was killed and wiped with his blood, it would never be removed. Lu Tian'er's eyes were slightly red. Her slender fingers trembled as she caressed the shameful imprint on her sister's back. Every time she saw the scars on her sister's body, her heart would be filled with hatred and anger. Back then, her uncle said that he had found a new master for them. She did not expect that he would sell them to an evil old monster in exchange for a rank 3 upper-grade rhinoceros spirit bone. That evil old monster was a pervert. His methods of torturing and humiliating people were endless. After he exchanged the 2 sisters, he started to torture her sister and left her untouched. That evil old monster's mentality was as if he had bought 2 identical toys. First he played with one, then he played with the next. Lu Tian'er watched her sister being tortured. Day and night, she thought of helping her escape. Lu Mei was also worried that her sister would suffer after her death. She also wanted to save her sister from the abyss of suffering. Unfortunately, the evil old monster had placed a restriction on the 2 sisters. They were unable to use their spiritual energy and could not use the Lu family's unique paper doll evil technique. Later on, Lu Tian'er accidentally discovered her special physique. Only then did she think of a way to escape. "If you did not give me your primordial yin, my cultivation speed would definitely be faster now." Lu Mei always felt that it was a pity that her sister had given her primordial yin to her in order to escape. It was such a waste. "Sister, I am willing to give it to you. It is better than giving it to those disgusting, stinky men." Lu Tian'er hugged her sister's naked body. The 2 sisters were naked. They quietly hugged each other. There was only the purest kinship between them. They were twin sisters. They had been together since they were born. They had enjoyed blessings and suffered together. They must live and die together. Okay, let's start cultivating. Lu Mei loosened her arms and gently patted her sister's head. Okay. My goal this time is to advance to Qi Disciple Level 3. Lu Tian'er smiled sweetly. She sat down cross-legged and started cultivating with her sister. Chapter 305. Yunjioge didn't know that her advancement to the 4th level of Qi Disciple had greatly stimulated the Lu sisters' motivation to cultivate. At this moment, she was seriously studying the 2 Earth Spirit mouse bones, thinking about how to refine them. You can't get these 2 bones? Zi Sheng asked. It wasn't that he looked down on Yunjioge, but this girl's attainments in runes were terrible. It's not your fault if I can't refine them. Yunjioge was still angry and decided to ignore Zi Sheng, this pervert. Fine, then you refine them yourself. Zi Sheng wasn't angry and decided to watch her torment herself. Yunjioge carefully studied the bones and found that they didn't have any advantages in terms of attack, speed, and weight. The only advantage was that the Earth's spiritual power was connected to the ground, so it could travel freely in the ground. She instantly thought of the gray thorn that the gray wolf vendor used to sneak attack. It was indeed difficult to guard against it when it was hidden in the shadows. It seemed that these bones still had to take the route of sneak attack and plot. Yunjioge had an idea, so it was easy to do. Although she didn't know how to refine tools or carve runes, she knew how to refine pills. All things in the world were the same. The Lu sisters only wanted to improve the quality of the spirit bone, not to forge it into a divine tool. They just needed to refine the Earth's spiritual power inside. Yunjioge immediately opened the small bronze cauldron and threw the 2 bones inside. She also threw in a few spirit herbs that could increase the concentration of Earth's spiritual power and started to refine. An hour later, the originally 3 feet long Earth spirit bone was only 7 inches long. The yellow light on it was extremely rich, ensuring that it could move freely in the soil. Yunjioge looked at the 4 short spirit bones and felt that something was missing. She thought for a moment and dripped a drop of the peach blossom charming bone poison she collected from the gray wolf vendor. After the light yellow Earth spirit bone absorbed the pink poison, the light suddenly soared and then disappeared in an instant. The originally yellow bone became gray without any light, as if it had completely lost its spiritual power. However, Yunjioge knew that the peach blossom charming bone poison completely stimulated the Earth's spiritual power of the spirit bone and then buried it deeply. In this way, the explosive power of the Earth's spirit bone was stronger, and after being concentrated, it would be poisoned. Of course, the aphrodisiac that he had absorbed was not as potent as before. Although it wouldn't make people want to have sex with the sow the moment they saw it, it would still make the enemy's blood and qi surge and cause their minds to be in chaos. It could also be used to catch them off guard at critical moments. Yunjioge was very satisfied with the bone that he had refined. After putting it into a paper bag, he looked at Zi Sheng with pride. You said I couldn't do it, but I did it anyway. Using this bone as a medicinal ingredient to refine? Not only is your idea interesting, it can also play to your strengths and avoid your weaknesses. Not bad, not bad. Zi Sheng was the first to affirm Yunjioge's idea. Of course. Your sister is not someone who can't do anything without you. But haven't you forgotten something? Zi Sheng pointed to the corner of the room. There was a stone vat there, and it was covered tightly with a lid, making it airtight. Yunjioge was stunned. Only now did she remember that her precious Gale wolf bone was still soaking in the water. Yunjioge quickly opened the lid and found that the 4 cyan Gale wolf bones had turned black. The wind's spiritual energy on the surface had fused into the bone marrow. Even if the gray wolf stall owner stood there, he wouldn't be able to recognize it. Although the color was a little darker, the bone structure did not change. Otherwise, she would have cried her eyes out. Yunjioge carefully took out the Gale wolf bones. These wolf bones were 2 grades higher than the Lu sisters' earth spirit bones. Not only were they very fast, but they also had strong attack power. There was no need to refine them. They could be used directly by carving runes on them. Thinking of this, Yunjioge couldn't help but sneak a glance at Zishang. This guy was the real expert in carving runes. Sigh, how could she forget about these 4 bones? Even if she wanted to beg Zishang now, she couldn't bring herself to do it. Let me see. Zishang didn't want to put on airs. After all, he had ruthlessly taught Yunjioge a lesson in the past 3 days. Now, he had to give her a taste of sweetness. Yunjioge quickly handed the bones over and said, I want to forge these 4 bones into a set of bone spikes. She planned to carve the runes of sharp metal and broken bone on each bone to increase its attack power. Apart from these 2 basic runes, she also wanted to carve the runes of hallucination, poison, paralysis needle, flying escape, and bloodthirst on the 4 bones. When the time came, it would be covered in a dense fog, which would make it difficult to hide. The poison gas would spread in all directions, and it would be an area of effect attack. The paralysis needle could be used for sneak attacks, and the bloodthirst could not only increase its attack power, but it could also restore its health. It was simply perfect. I can't carve that many. Zishang's face darkened. This girl's requirements were too much. Alright, then you can carve whatever you want. Yunjioge's face was full of regret. These Gale Wolf bones were still not enough. How good would it be if she could obtain a divine tier spirit bone? Of course, she was just fantasizing about it. With the current level of the treasure-seeking scorpion, it was impossible for it to find a divine tier bone. Zishang finally carved the broken bone, hallucination, poison, and bloodthirst runes. These 4 runes blended perfectly with the runes on the bone, leaving no trace at all. Zishang, you're really amazing. Yunjioge took the 4 bone spikes lovingly and was not stingy with her compliments. Zishang's handsome face revealed a matter-of-fact expression. Was there even a need for compliments? Come, let's find a place to try it out. Yunjioge couldn't wait to try out her new magic tool. It was already late at night. Even the evil sects would rarely be active in the middle of the night. Everywhere was quiet. Yunjioge and Zishang arrived at a wasteland. After confirming that there was no one around, they began to try out the Gale Wolf bone spikes. Yunjioge pinched her fingers, and the 4 black bone spikes silently floated up, perfectly hidden in the darkness. Go! Yunjioge waved her finger. A large rock in front of her shattered without a sound, and the 4 bone spikes flashed and returned to her side. The attack speed was very fast, as expected of the name Gale. The other effects were also very good, better than what Yunjioge had imagined. Yunjioge experimented until the sky was slightly bright. Only then did she return to her house to rest, satisfied. The next afternoon, Yunjioge got up, organized a few bottles of condensation pills, wrapped the earth spirit bone, and prepared to look for the Lu sisters. At that moment, little fatty Jean Lin came to find her first. Senior brother Yunjio, I've already found out what Su Juanqing's mission is. Oh, what mission is it? Yunjioge asked even though she already knew the answer. His mission is to lead our Peak 2 disciples below Qi Refinement Stage 5 to a small mystic realm for training. When little fatty said this, his usually carefree face showed a hint of worry. Chapter 306. Is there anything special about this little secret realm? Yunjioge asked. The environment inside the little secret realm is very dangerous. There are barren hills and unruly rivers, and there are miasma and fierce beasts everywhere. Also, only cultivators below the 5th layer of Qi refinement can enter. Before little fatty could finish, Yunjioge interrupted him. Isn't Su Junqing a Foundation establishment cultivator? How can he enter this secret realm? Our Corp sect has a secret technique that allows him to suppress his cultivation to enter. But even so, there is a limit to the number of people who can enter. Normally, there are no more than 5 people. Everyone has to lead the team, otherwise the secret realm will collapse, Little Fatty explained. All the spiritual energy in this little secret realm was used to feed the human-faced peaches, so the realm was very unstable. If someone with a high cultivation went in, it would collapse. This human-faced peach was a good thing. Apart from being full of yin qi, it also contained the aura of flesh and blood. It was the best thing for the yin corpse sect to feed their yin corpses. Especially when the yin corpses advanced, it was a must-have item. So every year, the yin corpse sect would send disciples into the secret realm to collect these human-faced peaches. Although Su Junqing was doted on by Elder Mo Hua, he could not have everything he wanted. There were many things that he had to fight for himself. When Yunjioga heard this, her hands started to tremble. She had thought that Su Junqing would enter as a foundation establishment cultivator. At that time, she could only ask Zishang to kill him. Who would have thought that he would suppress his cultivation to enter? This way, she would have the chance to kill him personally. Yunjioga suppressed the excitement in her heart and continued to ask, "Is there anything worth paying attention to in this little secret realm?" There are many things worth paying attention to. However, the main point of this tempering exercise is the competition between the various outer sect peaks. Only the peak with the most human-faced peaches will be able to emerge victorious. At that time, the disciple who leads the team will be rewarded. I have a name list here. You can take a look later. Also, the senior brother leading the team will arrange for us to do some missions, so it is important to hold on to his thigh. As Little Fatty spoke, he handed a name list to Yunjioga. How many contribution points for this information? Yunjioga glanced at the name list. Su Junqing's name was actually at the top. Next were Broom Chen and his subordinates, as well as the Lu sisters and Little Fatty. There were also a few hundred low-level disciples. Their names were densely packed together. Although she didn't know most of these disciples, it was always good to have a list in hand. There's no need for money this time. However, Little Fatty Jean Lin shook his head, then smiled ingratiatingly. As long as senior brother Yunjio takes good care of me when you're training in the secret realm, it'll be fine. I can't guarantee that. You should just obediently collect your contribution points. Yunjioga wouldn't even have time to kill people, so how would he have the time to take care of Little Fatty? Don't worry, senior brother Cloud9. I have a plan to deal with this as well. I don't need your help all the time. However, if there's anything that requires cooperation, I hope that you can consider me first, Little Fatty hurriedly said. He couldn't entrust his life completely to Yunjioga. All right. Yunjioga didn't know many people in the Yin Corpse sect, but Lil Fatty was one of them. If they really encountered something that required cooperation, she would definitely think of Lil Fatty first. There are still 3 months left until the arcane dungeon opens. Senior brother Yunjio should take this opportunity to level up. Little Fatty added. Yunjioga had concealed his cultivation level and was still at Qi refinement level 3. Oh, by the way, let me know if you have any good spirit bones. It was always good to refine another set of magic tools. All right. Little Fatty nodded and took his leave. Yunjioga sent Little Fatty off and went to find the Lu sisters. After giving them the refined earth spirit bones, he also informed them of Little Fatty's news. Then do we continue to cultivate in seclusion or kill moths? Lu Tian-er felt that there was not enough time. She wanted to refine more gathering pills as backup, but she also wanted more time to cultivate. We just need to kill moths again. The most important thing right now is to prepare the items needed to enter the arcane dungeon. Items to recover spiritual power, expel poison and ward off evil, and dispel miasma have to be prepared in advance. Yunjioga had the experience of attacking the bloodthirsty sect, so he knew that these items were very necessary. Senior brother, make a list for us. We'll prepare according to the materials. Lu Mei-er was originally a little nervous. However, when she saw that Yunjioga had arranged everything in order, she felt a lot more at ease. I'll give you the list later. Kill more ghosts during this time and earn more contribution points. The items that Yunjioga wanted were not cheap. They could not be exchanged without enough contribution points. In the next few days, Yunjioga and the Lu sisters killed ghosts crazily. After exchanging a lot of contribution points, they began to buy all kinds of materials. Some well-informed disciples also began to make preparations. The atmosphere of the entire mountain peak became tense. 2 months later, the Lu sisters successfully entered the 3rd level of Qi disciple. Yunjioga entered the 5th level of Qi disciple. He advanced to the 5th level of Qi disciple in less than 5 months. This kind of cultivation speed was very shocking among the outer sect disciples. In order not to attract attention, Yunjioga maintained his cultivation at the 3rd level of Qi disciple. The Lu sisters also chose to hide their true cultivation. The strength that they revealed was the 2nd level of Qi disciple. Just as Yunjioga and the others were nervously preparing, the disciples who would lead the 5 outer sect peaks were finally determined. The 2nd peak was led by Su Junqing. The disciple leading the 3rd peak was called Bailan. She was a female disciple of the Ink Flower Peak and could be considered as Su Junqing's senior sister. The disciples leading the 4th and 5th peaks were a pair of brothers. The older brother was Han Xiaodong and the younger brother was Han Xiaoxi. Although the 2 of them were only at the peak of Qi disciple, they were people personally appointed by the sect master Yiziqing. Adding the 2 brothers working together, the 4th and 5th peaks naturally formed an alliance. No one dared to look down on them. Among the disciples who were leading the group, the most unexpected one was actually Wolf Fang leading the group. This direct disciple appointed by the White Bones elder had successfully reached foundation establishment 2 months ago. After 2 months of seclusion to consolidate his cultivation, he took the initiative to lead the team to participate in this experience. The White Bones elder had always been optimistic about this disciple. Naturally, he agreed without hesitation. He even replaced the person that had already been selected. 5 peaks, more than 5,000 disciples squeezed into a small secret realm to pick peaches. How strange. Yunjioga felt that this secret realm was not so simple. It's not your problem that it's strange. Don't you want to kill Su Junqing? Do you want to see how strong his corpse is? If possible, Zi Shang hoped that Yunjioga would personally kill Su Junqing. Of course, let's go tonight. I heard from Little Fatty that Su Junqing goes to bed on the 1st and 15th of every month. When the time comes, he should leave his corpse in the cave. Yunjioga had long wanted to investigate Su Junqing's background. She also wanted to see if Yunji had really been refined into a corpse. It was a pity that Zi Shang was afraid that she would act impulsively, so he didn't want her to go. Chapter 307. Once you find Yunji, bring back the treasure map. Zi Shang reminded him. Understood. How could Yunjioga forget the treasure map? In the dead of night, the full moon hung high in the sky and the cool moonlight fell on the ground. Zi Shang and Yunjioga restrained their auras and followed the small path to sneak into Ink Flower Peak. There was a defensive alarm around Ink Flower Peak. If one didn't have an inner sect disciple token, they would immediately alert the people of Ink Flower Peak if they entered. But with Zi Shang here, Yunjioga didn't need to worry about this barrier. The 2 of them smoothly entered Ink Flower Peak. Su Junqing's cave was at the middle of Ink Flower Peak where spiritual energy was abundant. The cave was currently closed. It was clear that the master was not inside. There is a restriction in the cave. Yunjioga touched the cave door and felt a power rebound. If he forced his way in, Su Junqing would immediately know. It's just a small restriction, I'll just seal it. Zi Shang wasn't afraid of sect restrictions, not to mention a small cave restriction. He placed his palm on the cave door and a purple mist seeped in. Then the cave door opened. Yunjioga quickly walked in, not forgetting to close the cave door. He saw that Su Junqing's cave was decorated very luxuriously. There was a thick red carpet on the ground and night pearls on the walls. The entire cave had a total of 3 rooms. After Yunjioga checked them one by one, he didn't find Yi Yunji. He was a bit surprised in his heart. Did Su Junqing bring her to Ink Flower Palace? Elder Ink Flower liked to be extravagant, so he built a palace on top of Ink Flower Peak to enjoy. The favored male and female disciples all had their own rooms in the palace. But Ink Flower Palace's atmosphere wasn't suitable for cultivation, so most of the disciples stayed in their caves and left their treasures in their caves. Su Junqing had just gained a foothold in the Yin corpse sect, and the Yin spirit female corpses he refined were very eye-catching, so he didn't bring his Yin corpses with him, afraid that others would covet them. He shouldn't have brought them to Ink Flower Peak. There's a dark room here. Zi Shang looked around the room and found a clue. The Yin qi behind the wall was very dense. There was clearly something fishy going on. Yunjioga knocked on the wall and found that the switch was a luminous pearl at the corner of the wall. He pressed it hard. The wall silently opened to both sides, revealing an exquisitely decorated room. The room was not big, and there was only a large mahogany bed with cloud patterns. The red curtains on the bed were embroidered with mandarin ducks playing in the water and a picture of 100 years of love. Vaguely, a woman in a red palace dress could be seen lying on the bed. That woman did not have any aura of life. She was clearly a Yin corpse. It was very likely that she was Yi Yunji. Yunjioga quickly walked to the bed and was about to lift the curtains. Suddenly, the woman in the red palace dress bounced up from the bed. Her jet-black fingernails brought with them a chilly wind as they reached for her neck. Yunjioga's reaction was extremely fast. As he retreated, he struck out with a Yin energy palm. A palm glowing with a gloomy gray light blasted toward the woman's chest. Unexpectedly, the woman in the palace dress did not evade and took Yunjioga's palm strike head-on. Yunjioga's Yin force palm didn't send his opponent flying. Instead, it stuck tightly to the woman's body. Following that, an extremely cold aura was released from the woman's body. It entered her body through Yunjioga's palm and instantly froze her. Yunjioga couldn't move, she could only watch as the woman's jet-black fingernails stabbed toward her neck. Seeing that Yunjioga was about to be hit, Zi Shang finally made his move. He raised his hand and released an incomparably dense purple mist that trapped the woman in the palace dress, only leaving her head outside the purple mist. He then slapped his palm on Yunjioga's back, forcing the cold aura out of his body. Who? Yunjioga shivered and finally caught her breath. Yin spirit physique, it really is different. Zi Shang praised as he looked at the corpse in front of him that could use the Yin qi in its body to attack its opponent. If he wasn't here today, Yunjioga would have suffered a large loss. Yi Yunji. Yunjioga saw the red mole between the woman's eyebrows and immediately confirmed her identity. Yi Yunji didn't react to what Yunjioga called her. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a cold and vicious light as she stared at Yunjioga and Zi Shang. It was as if she wanted to charge up and bite them to death. Yin corpses don't react to anyone other than their master's orders. She should have received Su Junqing's order to attack everyone that entered this room. Zi Shang had acted as an old corpse for a long time and understood the Yin corpse's emotions very well. Yi Yunji, do you still remember your brother, Yi Yu? Yunjioga didn't give up and took out a bronze key. After opening it, there was a small knife that shone with a sharp light. This was the token that Yi Yu had given her, and it was also the token that allowed her to cut open Yi Yunji's flesh and take the treasure map. Yi Yunji didn't react to the key. She just wanted to break free and kill these intruders. Although Yunjioga already knew that this would happen, she still felt very disappointed. Hurry up and take the treasure map from her. If too much time passes, Su Junqing will sense it. If he brings Elder Mo Hua here, it will be troublesome. Zi Shang reminded her. These Yin Corp sect elders were not easy to deal with. If they were exposed, they wouldn't be able to survive. Give me her left arm. Yunjioga helplessly gave up on the absurd idea of waking Yi Yunji and prepared to take out the treasure map. Zi Shang pinched his finger and the purple mist brought out Yi Yunji's left arm. Yunjioga rolled up Yi Yunji's sleeve and used the knife to stab into her white skin. He never thought that it would bounce back. Use a bit of spiritual energy. Zi Shang reminded him. Yunjioga poured his spiritual energy into the knife and used all his strength to pierce through Yi Yunji's skin. It felt like he was stabbing into dry leather. The cut revealed dark muscles, but not a single drop of blood came out. No matter how much Yi Yunji looked like a living person, her body was already a Yin corpse. Her muscles and meridians had already turned into iron bones. Zay, it really is a good Yin corpse. Zi Shang sighed with emotion. Normal Yin corpses needed to go through several trials before they could reach the threshold of iron bones. But Yi Yunji had been refined in one try. Moreover, the cold Yin Qi in her body could automatically attack enemies. In the future, it would be even more powerful. It was no wonder that Su Junqing wanted to lead them to the small secret realm. If he could find enough human-faced peaches, he could help Yi Yunji reach the middle stage of foundation establishment. Like this, he would be able to stabilize his footing in the Yin Corpse sect. Yunjioga did not have the same emotions as Zi Shang. Instead, she felt sorrow for Yi Yunji. When she was alive, Su Junqing had ruined her family and she couldn't even keep her child. After she died, she had to be refined into a Yin corpse by Su Junqing to protect him and fight for him. How sorrowful was this? She had to get rid of Su Junqing, that heartless bastard, to take revenge for Yi Yunji. Chapter 308. Yunjioga made up her mind and increased her strength, quickly cutting a large hole in Yi Yunji's arm, revealing the treasure map seal buried inside. Yunjioga was about to take out the treasure map when Zi Shang reached out his hand to stop her. Something's wrong. What's wrong? Yunjioga was puzzled. The treasure map was wrong, she hadn't even taken it out yet. How could he know it was wrong? Her expression isn't right. Zi Shang indicated Yunjioga to look at Yi Yunji's face. Yunjioga looked up and was instantly shocked. The originally wooden expression and dull eyes of Yi Yunji actually revealed a pained expression. The strongest point of the Yin corpses was that they didn't feel any pain or fear, they were completely battle machines. Yi Yunji's expression was too strange, too strange. Could it be that she hadn't died and still had her consciousness from when she was alive? What is going on? Yunjioga looked at Zi Shang. I'm not clear, it should be related to the treasure map. Zi Shang had never been clear on the material of the treasure map, he only knew that there was a mysterious power contained within. Now it seemed like this mysterious power had a certain effect on Yi Yunji, who had become a Yin corpse. Yi Yunji, can you hear me? I'm here to help Yi Yu save you. Yunjioga said in a hurried voice. Yi Yunji's face revealed a pained and confused expression. Yi Yu is your little brother. Your Yi family was exterminated by Su Junqing and only your little brother Yi Yu survived. He has always been looking for you, he has never given up. With Yunjioga's words, Yi Yunji's pained expression became fierce. There seemed to be a small flame silently lighting up in his pitch-black eyes. When Yunjioga said, Su Junqing not only killed your child, he also refined you into a Yin corpse. He made you protect him and help him fight, he also wanted you to capture Yi Yu and refine him into a Yin corpse. Yunjioga had casually said this to provoke Yi Yunji, but he never thought that it would hit the nail on the head. The flame in Yi Yunji's eyes was instantly ignited, just like the soul fire of a little skeleton monkey. Her mouth opened and closed, letting out a very shaky voice filled with unforgettable hatred. Su Junqing. Yes, it's Su Junqing. Yunjioga was so excited that he almost jumped up when he saw Yi Yunji's reaction. Oh no, Su Junqing is coming back. Let's go, Zi Shang suddenly said. Yi Yunji was Su Junqing's Yin corpse. If Su Junqing found anything strange, she would immediately be destroyed. There was also Elder Mo Hua. He seemed to have discovered something unusual. A powerful divine sense had already enveloped them. Yunjioga was extremely vexed. He saw that Yi Yunji had a reaction, and maybe she could turn over a new leaf. But something went wrong at this time. However, now was not the time to worry about this. As long as there was life, there was hope. He could always come back to test the waters next time. Yunjioga quickly made a decision. He took out the black bone connection ointment and applied it on Yi Yunji's wound, sealing it tightly. As soon as the treasure map was covered, Yi Yunji's eyes immediately lost their luster. Her lifeless expression returned. Zisheng placed his hand on Yi Yunji's forehead and released a corpse aura to cover the smell of the black bone connection ointment. After the two of them were done with extreme speed, they casually threw Yi Yunji onto the big mahogany bed, and dashed out of Su Juanqing's cave residence. Zisheng and Yunjioga had just left the Ink Flower Peak when Su Juanqing quickly returned to his cave. Coming back with him was the Ink Flower Peak's early foundation establishment disciple Bailan. Junior brother was robbed? Bailan said in a surprised voice. Bailan looked to be around 30. She had slender eyebrows, raised eyes, and a black mole under her eyes. She could be considered quite pretty. She was wearing a tight black muslin dress, revealing the deep valley on her chest. She didn't look too serious. She was the female disciple that Yunjioga had teased when he first entered the sect. Su Juanqing didn't reply to Bailan. He quickly picked Yi Yunji up from the bed and carefully examined her. He didn't find any wounds, but he found a strange corpse aura on her body. Su Juanqing's face instantly became ugly. Someone must have sent high-level Yin corpses to target Yi Yunji. He never thought that he would not be able to defend against them even if he guarded day and night. Junior brother, let me take a look. Bailan had come under the orders of her master, Elder Mo Hua. Naturally she didn't dare be careless and came over to take a closer look. Does senior sister recognize this corpse aura? Su Juanqing quickly asked. This corpse aura is very strange. Bailan shook her head. She had been in the Yin corpse sect for many years and had studied the high-level Yin corpses in the sect, but she had never seen this corpse aura before. If they were targeting my Yin corpses, naturally they wouldn't use their power on the surface. Su Juanqing said in a dark voice. As far as he knew, the Yin corpse sect had never seen the demon corpses that Si Yuyue had brought to the bloodthirsty sect. That's possible, but junior brother doesn't need to worry. With master protecting you, no one will have any ideas on your Yin corpses. Bailan hypocritically comforted him. This new junior brother had such a good set of Yin corpses, there were many people who were jealous and envious of him. If it wasn't for master protecting him, perhaps even his bones would have been chewed off. Speaking of this, Su Juanqing's skills in bed were truly amazing. Even his master, who liked the new and hated the old, was completely won over by him. Many thanks senior sister. Su Juanqing quickly calmed himself down and revealed a grateful smile to Bailan. He was very clear that there were too many people who didn't like him on Ink Flower Peak, so he always tried to please Bailan and the other favored old disciples. Junior brother doesn't need to be polite with me. Bailan placed her hand on Su Juanqing's shoulder and slightly leaned to the side, making the valley in front of her chest even more alluring. This is how it should be. I will remember senior sister's kindness to me. Su Juanqing gave a gentle and handsome smile. There's no need to remember it, junior brother should use your actions to express it. Bailan's small hand slid down from his shoulder to Su Juanqing's chest, gently tapping it. The corners of her eyes were filled with charm. How does senior sister want me to act? Su Juanqing reached out his hand to hold down Bailan's small hand. He had to obtain the human-faced peach in this little secret realm, but the other disciples leading them were all very strong. If he wanted to win, he had to find an alliance. Bailan was the best choice. Of course I'll express it like this. Bailan let out a wanton laugh. After pushing Su Juanqing to the ground, she impatiently pulled off his pants and began to knead him. Su Juanqing didn't think that Bailan would be this hungry, going straight to the point. He had just been emptied by Elder Mo Hua, so he couldn't even muster up any energy. But if he didn't rise up now, he would give Bailan the impression that he was a soft cannon. It would be hard to win her over in the future. Chapter 309. Su Junqing was also a ruthless person, and immediately activated the Golden Spear invincible technique. Bai Lan's eyes immediately lit up, and she licked her lips with her red tongue. Although Su Junqing had heard that senior sister Bai Lan had learned joyful union sex plucking technique from elder Mo Hua, and that she was a woman who valued lust as much as her life, he did not take it to heart. Now that he was being ridden by Bai Lan, he immediately felt that the barrier was showing signs of falling. Su Junqing was instantly shocked. Elder Mo Hua's cultivation was a whole realm lower than his, so she did not use the plucking technique on him. She purely treated him as a plaything, and also had the intention of slowly nurturing him before eating him. Su Junqing did not expect Bai Lan to be so daring as to use the plucking technique on him. If she really plucked him, it would not be as simple as his body being hollowed out. But in this situation, it was hard for him to back down. His treasure was tightly entangled by Bai Lan, and it was impossible to extract it. "Junior brother, you're really amazing." Bai Lan's face was flushed, and she looked very intoxicated, but she was actually very surprised. She did not expect Su Junqing to be able to resist her unexpected plucking technique. "Senior sister, you're not bad either." Su Junqing played dumb, but he secretly kept his essence barrier tightly, not daring to reveal anything. Bai Lan made up her mind. She did not believe that she could not take down Su Junqing, so she immediately changed her position and continued to tangle with Su Junqing. The two of them fought for hundreds of rounds, messing up the things on the bed, and even the redwood bed shook until it collapsed. Yi Yunji stood quietly in the corner, her empty eyes reflecting this absurd scene. "Junior brother is really amazing, no wonder master can't bear to leave you." Bai Lan made herself gasp for breath, and her whole body was weak, but she did not pluck at all. Although she was a little annoyed, she did not dare to say it out loud. Otherwise, if master knew that she had designs on Su Junqing, he would definitely not let her off. "Senior sister is too kind." Su Junqing had fancied countless women, but this time was the worst. Although his essence barrier was guarded, his waist and treasure were in great pain. There was not a single part of his body that was unharmed, and it was filled with marks from Bai Lan's ruthless pinches. These marks were not visible on the skin, but it was extremely painful. In order to provoke her, Bai Lan had dealt a heavy blow. "Let's spar again next time." Bai Lan did not want to continue fighting. She winked at Su Junqing, then put on her clothes and left. Although she wasn't able to pluck Su Junqing, the bed battle just now was still very satisfying. Su Junqing sent Bai Lan off with a smile, but when he turned around, his expression immediately darkened. He cursed fiercely, "Damn bitch, I'll kill you sooner or later." He walked to Yi Yunji's side, caressed her soft and white face, and murmured, "You're still the best, these Yin Corp sect women all eat people without spitting out the bones." Naturally, Yi Yunji did not have any reaction. She just stood there blankly. Su Junqing didn't think much of it. Instead, he thought about something else. When his cultivation advanced, he would definitely not be able to escape the fate of being plucked by elder Mo Hua. He had to make preparations in advance. The best way was to raise 2 cultivation furnaces for himself. This way, he would be able to recover faster. In his mind, the best furnaces were the Lu sisters. He had also heard about the origins of the 2 sisters. Although their vital Yin had been taken away, just based on the fact that they were able to join the Yin Corp sect after being tortured by the evil old monsters for so long, they were definitely not simple. They were definitely good cultivation furnaces. Originally, he wanted to use Broom Chen to create trouble for the 2 sisters and then capture them like a hero. However, he didn't expect the 2 sisters to hang out with that brat Yunjiu all day and cultivate in seclusion. Broom Chen couldn't find them even if he wanted to. Looks like that Yunjiu can't be left alive. Su Junqing secretly made up his mind. He had to use this opportunity in the small mystic realm to get rid of that brat Yunjiu and take the Lu sisters under him. Yunjioga didn't know that Su Junqing already wanted to kill her because of the Lu sisters. When she returned to the cottage, she kept thinking about Yi Yunji's abnormality. Do you think Yi Yunji has woken up? Yunjioga asked Zishang. She's only recovered her obsession and hatred? Zishang hesitated for a moment, then said, but if she continues to evolve, she might become a heavenly corpse in the future. He still thinks highly of Yi Yunji. Can heavenly corpses recover their consciousness from when they were alive? Yunjioga was concerned about this. Just a piece of the treasure map could allow Yi Yunji to recover her obsession from when she was alive. If he buried the other pieces, wouldn't she be able to recover her consciousness from when she was alive? That would be the same as coming back to life. Zishang immediately saw through Yunjioga's intentions and warned, don't do anything rash. I'm not doing anything rash. Yunjioga had an innocent expression. She was just thinking about it. I don't know if she can recover her consciousness from when she was alive. I only know that if the Een Corpse sect finds out about her abnormality, she will never be able to leave the Een Corpse sect, Zishang said calmly. Yi Yunji's Een spirit body was originally the best material to refine Een corpses. However, she had already lost her vital Een and her blood was drunk by the bloodthirsty ancestor. Her talent was greatly damaged, so Elder Mo Hua didn't want her. Su Junqing had it easy. However, if Elder Mo Hua knew that Yi Yunji had the possibility of becoming a heavenly corpse, he would definitely do anything to get his hands on her. Not to mention her, even those nascent soul realm old monsters who had already gone to other spirit cities to train would rush back to snatch it. If Yi Yunji really fell into the hands of those old monsters, even if she could recover her consciousness from when she was alive, she would definitely be in 1,000,000 times more pain than before. Yunjioga was silent. How could she forget about this? The dead can't come back to life. Dead is dead. It's better to let her return to dust and be completely free. Zishang's tone was slightly regretful. If it was him, he would definitely think of a way to make Yi Yunji his Een corpse. However, Yunjioga was a person who valued relationships and was against controlling corpses. It was impossible for him to order Yi Yunji around. Since he couldn't get her, he had to destroy her. That was why he encouraged Yunjioga to destroy Yi Yunji. You're right. If she still had consciousness, she wouldn't want her corpse to be used as a magic tool. Yunjioga sighed and completely gave up on the idea of helping Yi Yunji advance. This time, we need to get as many human-faced peaches as possible when we go to the little secret realm. These things are good stuff and are also beneficial to me. There weren't many things that were beneficial to him. The human-faced peach could barely be considered one of them. The pure blood chi it contained was quite useful for him to maintain his demonic energy. Chapter 310. Okay. Zishang rarely asked for things. Since he asked, Yunjioga naturally had to do it. She calmed herself down and began to prepare for the trip to the small mystic realm. The Lu sisters had already sent all the ingredients needed for alchemy. Yunjioga spent the rest of her time on alchemy, apart from her regular morning cultivation. Spirit replenishing pill, miasma dispelling pill, evil warding pill, beast repelling pill. She refined all the necessary pills. When she came out of seclusion, the day of departure had arrived. Senior brother Yunjio, Su Junqing has been too warm to us recently. I feel like something is wrong. Lu Mei came to find Yunjioga. In order to have someone to rely on in the small mystic realm, the two sisters had been getting closer to Su Junqing. They began to realize that he was up to no good. He's still secretly using the bewitching art on us, Lu Tian added. Her 9 Serenities Taoist body was especially sensitive to the bewitching art. Although Su Junqing only used a little to influence the two sisters, Lu Tian still noticed it. Bewitching art. It's the same old trick again. Yunjioga's eyes flashed, and then he said to the Lu sisters, you guys watch him. Just go along with him for now. We'll talk about it after the small mystic realm. Senior brother Yunjiu, you have to be careful too. I've seen Su Junqing looking for Broom Chen recently. I don't know if he's up to something, Lu Mei hinted. She didn't dare to tell Yunjiu that they used him as a shield when Su Junqing hinted that they would sleep with him to get someone to rely on. Su Junqing was probably planning to deal with him right now. I know. These pills are for you. Keep them well. Yunjiu took out a bag of pills, not taking Lu Mei's reminder to heart. Thank you, senior brother. The Lu sisters quickly took the pills. The more they knew Yunjiu, the more mysterious he became. He was so good at alchemy, he couldn't be the son of a hunter in the deep mountains. However, everyone had their own secrets. They had a tacit understanding and used each other to cover for each other. Only then could they maintain a normal relationship. We'll be leaving in 3 days. After we enter the dungeon, try your best to stay by Su Junqing's side. If there's any news, inform me immediately. At this moment, the Lu sisters' importance was highlighted. After all, it was impossible for Yunjiu to get close to Su Junqing. She was afraid that she would not be able to control herself and kill him. Don't worry, senior brother Yunjiu. We know what to do. To the Lu sisters, Yunjiu was 1,000 times more important than Su Junqing. If there was a conflict between the two, they would definitely choose Yunjiu, even if they had to help him stab Su Junqing in the back. However, the prerequisite was to ensure the safety of the sisters. After Yunjiu sent off the Lu sisters, he wanted to go see Yi Yunji again, but Zi Shang refused. You've already alerted her last time. You'll only harm her if you go again. All right. Yunjiu also knew that if Su Junqing discovered the uniqueness of the Night Yunji, it would be over. She gave up the idea of seeing Yi Yunji and concentrated on waiting for the day to enter the small mysterious realm. 3 days later, the little secret realm opened. Su Junqing and Bailan led the disciples from Peak 2 and Peak 3 to participate in the training. The place where the little secret realm opened was a barren mountain 100 miles away from the Een Corps Sec's headquarters. At this time, the people from Peak 1, Peak 4, and Peak 5 were already waiting at the entrance, lined up neatly. Wolf Fang, Han Xiaodong, and Han Xiaoxi stood together, looking at Bailan and Su Junqing from afar. Han Xiaodong was short and muscular, with a fierce face, dark skin, and eyes like copper bells. He looked like a butcher, obviously not a good person. Han Xiaoxi was much better looking than his big brother. He had a medium build, pale skin, and a pair of bright eyes. One look and you could tell he was a shrewd person. This time, he was the one who suggested forming an alliance with Wolf Fang. Little brother Wolf Fang, you just advanced to foundation establishment. Why didn't you consolidate your cultivation in the cave abode? Why did you come here to join in the fun? Bailan gracefully walked over and immediately gave Wolf Fang a flirtatious look. She had been coveting this piece of fresh wolf meat for a long time. Unfortunately, Wolf Fang was sinister and cunning. Not to mention seducing him, if she wasn't careful, she would be tricked by him. This is a rare opportunity, so I naturally have to grasp it well. Wolf Fang replied in a neutral tone. This time, he came to find the cloaked man who helped him remove the poison. Originally, he thought that after being poisoned by the peach blossom charming bone poison, even if he could remove it, his vitality would be greatly damaged. However, he didn't expect that not only did that expert completely remove the poison, he even removed some of the poisonous impurities in his body. After he consumed the foundation establishment pill, he successfully advanced and actually didn't encounter any bottlenecks. At this time, he finally realized how powerful that expert was, which was why he took this opportunity to find him. Little brother Wolf Fang, if you want a chance, come find me. No matter what you want, I will definitely agree to it. Bailan said half jokingly, half seriously. Senior sister Bailan, isn't it enough to have junior brother Su? You won't even let our little brother Wolf Fang off. Your cave is too big, don't you want us brothers to help you stick it in a few times? I guarantee you'll feel great. Han Xiaodong laughed heartily. Although he wasn't interested in beauties, he could still freely speak dirty words. Senior sister Bai Lan's cave is too loose, I'm afraid even us two brothers won't be able to fill it. Han Xiaoxi also added seriously. Bai Lan's expression immediately turned ugly. Although she liked to pluck, she couldn't just eat everything. She hated vulgar boorish men like Han Xiaodong the most. Unfortunately, the Han brothers weren't to be trifled with. The eldest brother fought without a care for his life, while the second brother was as sly as a fox. Unfortunately, aside from cultivation, the two of them didn't dare to be interested in beauties. Charm techniques were useless on them. Moreover, although the two brothers were only at the great perfection of Qi disciple, the combination of their cultivation technique could release the power of a foundation establishment cultivator. Bai Lan didn't dare to brazenly provoke them. She could only laugh coldly, throw down a sentence of, wait and see, and return to Su Juanqing's side. This woman isn't simple. You guys have to be careful in the future if you offend her. Wolf Fang reminded the Han brothers. Ever since he suffered a great loss at the hands of the Joyous Union sect's hooligans, he no longer dared to look down on women. Little brother Wolf Fang, don't worry. We know what's important. When we enter the mystic realm later, we'll need little brother to take care of us. Han Xiaoxi said politely. When he heard that the ones leading the team this time were Bai Lan and Su Junqing, he immediately brought his brothers to find Wolf Fang to request an alliance. Wolf also agreed very straightforwardly. They were all clear of Bai Lan's strength. If it was just her, they wouldn't be worried. However, this Su Junqing who popped out of nowhere made them all unclear of his background. Chapter 311. This fellow Su Junqing had refined his own Yin corpse the moment he entered the sect. This made Wolf Fang and the others filled with envy, jealousy, and fear. So Wolf Fang, who always acted alone, had no choice but to form an alliance with the Han brothers. When Bai Lan came back, Su Junqing was directing the outer sect disciples in line. Everyone line up according to your cultivation base, starting from the highest. The fifth Qi refining layer is behind me. The disciples immediately lined up. The ones with high cultivation bases were at the front and the ones with low cultivation bases were at the back. Yunjioga's cultivation base was at the third Qi refining layer. He was in the middle with Little Fatty and Jean Lin. The Lu sisters at the second Qi refining layer should be at the back, but after they joined Su Junqing, they didn't join the line, rather they stood by his side, looking very delicate. There were only a few fifth Qi refining layer cultivators in the second and third peaks. There were only around 20 of them. There weren't many fourth Qi refining layer cultivators, only around 100 people. Broom Chen and his subordinates were in this line. There were around 500 people at the third Qi refining layer. They were the core strength, but most of them were at the second Qi refining layer. After all, Yunjioga and the others had only entered the sect for half a year. The second Qi refining layer was the normal cultivation speed for normal disciples. Little Fatty, why didn't senior apprentice brother Su bring his Yin corpse? Yunjioga looked around for a while and didn't see any trace of Yi Yunji. Logically speaking, this little mystic realm was very dangerous, so Su Junqing should have brought her along. The Yin corpse sect's high-level disciples all have their own corpse refining bag. They normally keep their Yin corpses in the bag like a magic weapon, only taking them out when they need to use them. Little Fatty explained. This kind of corpse refining bag was much more expensive than a storage bag. Even if a normal disciple could refine a Yin corpse, it would be hard for them to buy a corpse refining bag. But Su Junqing was doted on by Elder Mo Hua, so it wasn't strange for him to have a corpse refining bag. So it's like this. Yunjioga looked away, looking at the dense crowd of people around him. He asked Little Fatty, with these 5,000 people going in, wouldn't it cause the secret realm to explode? Especially those second Qi refining layer disciples, they felt like they were just sending themselves to their deaths. Who knows, the information about this secret realm is top secret. Even senior apprentice brothers that came out alive are not allowed to talk about it. Little Fatty replied in a low voice. Isn't your uncle the steward of the inner sanctum? Doesn't he have any news for you? Yunjioga didn't believe it. Little Fatty was so gossipy. How bad could his uncle be? He definitely had insider information. Sigh, no matter how powerful my uncle is, he's just a steward. He wouldn't dare to say what he can't say. Little Fatty's attitude was obviously reserved. A secret that even Fatty, who was crazy for money, did not dare to divulge must be very powerful. This made Yunjioga even more curious about the hidden territory. At this time, Su Junqing had already lined up. He turned around and saw Bailan returning with a dark expression. Looking into the distance, Wolf Fang and the Han brothers were looking at them with malicious intent. Needless to say, he must have angered Bailan. "Senior sister, are you all right?" Su Junqing and Bailan were on the same boat, so he naturally had to take good care of her. Those three fellows have already formed an alliance. Let's be careful when we enter the mystic realm. If there's a chance, kill the Han brothers. Bailan's face revealed a vicious expression. She wanted to get rid of the Han brothers not just because of the quarrel just now. More importantly, the Han brothers' talent was outstanding, and their future in the Een Corps sect was limitless. Kicking away obstacles in their way was also a necessary skill for evil disciples. Okay. Su Junqing nodded in agreement. He looked very serious on the surface, but in his heart, he did not care. His only goal in entering this little mystic realm was to collect human-faced peaches and raise Yunji's ability. If there was a chance to get rid of the Han brothers, he didn't mind lending a hand. But if he had to spend so much effort to deal with them, then forget it. Bailan was also very clear about Su Junqing's thoughts. She didn't really expect this guy to sell his life for her. She glanced at the Lu sisters standing not far away and asked Su Junqing ambiguously, "You like these two sisters that much? I'll keep them for later." Su Junqing did not hide his sinister intentions. Bailan raised her eyebrows and looked Su Junqing up and down. She smiled and said, "Junior brother sure knows how to prepare for a rainy day. I'll need senior sister to take care of me." Su Junqing smiled. "Same to you." Bailan drew a line on Su Junqing's chest with her finger and smiled. "If there's a chance, let's have a good spar." She was still reminiscing about the bed battle last time. "I dare not disobey senior sister's orders." Su Junqing also smiled. The Lu sisters stood not far away and saw the flirting between Su Junqing and Bailan clearly. Although they felt that Su Junqing had a motive for getting close to them, Su Junqing's appearance was too good, and his personality was gentle and refined. Even if they knew he was not a good person, it was hard to hate him. But now that they saw Su Junqing and Bailan standing together, the two sisters felt disgusted. They had a wide network of people and knew many other outer sect disciples. Naturally, they had heard of Bailan's plucking technique. She would often trick the male disciples she fancied into going back with her. After sleeping with them, even if they were not crippled, their cultivation would fall greatly. This caused many outer sect male disciples to tremble in fear. The two sisters were now sure that Su Junqing was probably trying to pluck them to get close to him. Lu Mei's expression turned ugly, and her beautiful eyes shone with hatred. The two sisters had suffered at the hands of the evil sect's ancestor. What they hated the most were those men who wanted to pluck them. Lu Tian hurriedly pulled her back and shook her head slightly. Then, she guided her to look at Yunjio in the group of disciples. Although all men in the world were dark, there were some who were not. For example, senior brother Yunjio's life was suppressed. So men might not have it easier than women. They also had to be careful of their chrysanthemums. Yunjio did not know that he had become the target of the Lu sisters' sympathy. She was listening to little Fatty's story about Wolf Fang and the Han brothers with great interest. "I heard that senior brother Wolf Fang was thrown into a wolf's den when he was young and grew up with a pack of wolves. He could not speak human language even at the age of 18. That was until he saved a heavily injured rogue cultivator deep in the mountains. That wandering cultivator took him as a disciple. Not only did he teach him how to speak and be a person, he also taught him many cultivation techniques. Unfortunately, that wandering cultivator was heavily injured and died not long after. Before he died, he asked Senior Brother Wolfang to come to our Corps sect. Senior Brother Wolfang came to participate in the audition. In the end, he became the strongest outer sect disciple on the first peak. His talent was extremely high, but he liked to be alone. Although he did not have many friends, he was very loyal. He would never betray his comrades in the alliance. But if anyone betrayed him, he would chase them to the ends of the earth. At this point, little Fatty stopped to take a breath and drink some water. What about the Han brothers? Yunjiu did not wait for him to finish drinking and asked. Chapter 312. The Han brothers were also children with a hard life. Little Fatty shook his head as he told the story of the Han brothers. Although the Han brothers were farmers, they were quite well off when they were young. They had fields and land. When Han Xiaodong was 10, his parents suddenly fell seriously ill and passed away after spending all the money in the family. Misfortune never came alone. At this time, Han Xiaoxi caught a cold, but the family did not even have the money to see a doctor. Han Xiaodong sold himself to a landlord and used the money he earned to save Han Xiaoxi. Unfortunately, the family that Han Xiaodong sold himself to was not a good person. At that time, Han Xiaodong was only 10, but they ordered him around like a slave. Not only did they make him carry water and farm every day, they also made him live in a pigsty and eat pig feed. They beat and scolded him. In short, they were extremely vicious. Later, Han Xiaoxi burned down that family and brought Han Xiaodong to become beggars. Han Xiaodong's cultivation was high, and he was fierce. He never fought with his life on the line. Han Xiaoxi was sinister enough, and was best at using underhanded methods. The two brothers were very difficult to deal with. No outer sect disciple dared to offend them. Yunjiu still wanted more after hearing this. She asked little Fatty, what about senior sister Bailan? She only knew that Bailan was a loose person and had a very ambiguous relationship with Su Junqing. She did not know anything else. When little Fatty heard the two words, Bailan, he could not help but glance at the voluptuous figure standing in front of him. Realizing that she was looking at him with a faint smile, he immediately lowered his head and said, Senior sister Bailan came in through formal training. There's nothing to say. Yunjiu also felt Bailan's gaze. She looked up and saw Bailan throwing a flirtatious look at her, as if she wanted to eat her up. TSK. Yunjiu looked away. The feeling of being teased by a woman was really not good. It was all Zishang's fault. Because there were too many people, Zishang did not follow Yunjiu in stealth. Instead, he entered the mark on her hand. If he saw this scene from the side, he would probably be very proud of his foresight. Senior sister is interested in Yunjiu? Su Junqing naturally also noticed Bailan's gaze. It's all right. Bailan smiled. Although she liked to harvest, she also looked at the person. If it was those who couldn't resist her beauty, it was normal for her to get paid for it. She didn't fall for it, and she didn't force it. If she forcefully plucked them, then she wouldn't be able to survive in the sect. Su Junqing saw that Bailan was interested in Yunjiu and wanted to encourage her to make a move. But before he could say anything, a violent fluctuation of spiritual energy came from a canyon in the depths of the Great Barren Mountain. This was a sign that the little secret realm was about to open. Everyone, pay attention. The pocket dimension is about to open. Grab your items and stay alert. Don't go in and die. Han Xiaodong raised his voice and shouted. All the outer sect disciples immediately raised their vigilance. This small mystic realm was not a joke. It was said that many disciples had been attacked the moment they entered. Senior sister Bailan, it's about time to open the mystic realm. Wolf Fang walked over. In his hand was a palm-sized stone that was engraved with densely packed runes. It was the key to open the mystic realm. There were a total of 5 keys, one for each leading disciple. They had to use them at the same time to open the entrance to the little mystic realm. Alright, then open the door. Bai Lan didn't dare to delay matters. Su Junqing also took out the entrance key and went to the center of the spiritual energy fluctuation with Wolf Fang and the rest. He placed the key in the shape of a 5-pointed star. Rays of black spiritual energy shot out from the key and gathered into a ray of light that was as thick as an arm and shot into the sky. A rumbling sound could be heard. The air in the Great Barren Mountain seemed to be torn apart, revealing a dark entrance. Follow the order and enter. First peak disciple, follow me. Wolf Fang led the others in. After everyone from first peak had entered, Su Junqing led the second peak disciples in. The Lu sisters naturally followed closely beside him. Yin Jioga and Little Fatty also followed the group into the black hole. After passing through a long black tunnel, Yin Jioga first felt her vision go black. Then, the world spun and finally, she felt like she had landed. But before she could steady herself, she heard the sharp sound of wind from above and a fishy smell rushed towards her. Yin Jioga didn't hesitate to use her sharp golden bone spur to meet it. That was the sound of a bone spur piercing through flesh. Yin Jioga looked up and saw a black eagle fall to the ground with its chest pierced by a bone spur. It was the size of a 3-year-old child. Its beak and claws were extremely sharp and shone with a cold and fierce light. This kind of eagle was extremely strong and flew very fast. If one was caught by it, it could directly bring them into the sky. There was no way they could survive. F***ck, this beast is too treacherous. Little Fatty stood behind Yin Jioga. If Yin Jioga couldn't stop this eagle, he would also suffer. Be careful, there might be danger. Yin Jioga kept the bone spur and held it in her hand as she vigilantly observed her surroundings. What entered her eyes was a large brown wasteland. It was overgrown with weeds and gravel everywhere. Not far away was a large mountain. It looked close, but it would be fatal to walk to it. At this moment, the disciples behind her screamed in panic. Ah, there's an eagle, help! Yin Jioga turned her head and saw 2 eagles in the sky, each grabbing a disciple and flying into the sky. In the blink of an eye, they became 2 small black dots. Calm down, get into formation and prepare for defense. Su Junqing hurriedly raised his bone spur and shouted. Some of the more alert disciples immediately raised their bone spurs. Seeing that there was no hope, the eagles immediately flew up into the sky. They didn't go far and just kept circling there, obviously looking for an opportunity. Su Junqing's expression was very ugly. If something like this happened just after entering the mystic realm, it would have a huge impact on the morale of the army. At this moment, a coarse voice sounded, "Senior Brother Su, someone killed an eagle. Quickly come over and take a look." Yin Jioga looked in the direction of the voice and immediately frowned. It was Broom Chen. Broom Chen warmly called Su Junqing over to take a look at the eagle that Yin Jioga had killed. It was obvious that he was up to no good. Su Junqing walked over and glanced at the eagle. Who killed it? It was junior brother Yunjiao, Broom Chen rushed to answer. Junior brother Yunjiao is only at the 3rd stage of qi refinement, but he's already so strong. He should be at the front. The front was the most dangerous. I was just lucky, Yin Jioga said calmly. The eagle's attack just now was too sudden. She didn't hold back at all, so she was afraid that she would be seen through. Junior brother Yunjiao is too polite. Luck is also an important part of cultivation. Why don't you go to the front and let us get some luck? Su Junqing said with bad intentions. Yin Jioga really wanted to refuse, but Su Junqing was now the leader. If she didn't obey, she would become a thorn. If Su Junqing provoked her, she would be in a difficult position in the team. She might as well agree. Chapter 313. Since senior brother says so, I'll accept. Yunjioga said straightforwardly. Then let's go. Su Junqing was very satisfied with Yunjioga's attitude and brought her to the front. When the Lu sisters saw her, their eyes flickered and they pretended to be unfamiliar with her. Junior sister Lu, I heard that you two were close to junior brother Yunjio on the first peak. Now that he's here, you two have another backer. Are you happy? Su Junqing said with a smile. Senior brother Su, you really like to joke. With such a big backer like you, why would we look at this little sapling? Lu Tian'er said with a smile. Sister, don't talk nonsense. Lu Mei-er pulled her sister's sleeve and glanced at Yunjioga. She said with a smile that wasn't a smile, Senior brother Yunjio did take care of us in the outer sect, but we're all in the same sect, so we should take care of each other. Yunjioga's face was expressionless. She ignored these boring probing and silently walked to a corner. Senior brother Yunjio is still so boring. Lu Tian'er made a face and asked Su Junqing, Senior brother Su, do you think the grassland in front is dangerous? After passing through the wasteland, there was a boundless green grassland. The weeds there were knee-high. If there were any poisonous snakes or demonic beasts hiding there, they wouldn't be able to find them. There's only a type of rank 2 grass lizard in this grassland. As long as we're careful, there won't be any problems. The more troublesome ones are the eagle beasts in the sky. Su Junqing clearly didn't care about the grass lizard. He was more worried about the eagle beasts in the sky. These vicious and cunning things were best at sneak attacks. With senior brother Su here, what's there to be afraid of? Lu Mei-er said with a smile, I heard that senior brother's bone spike is a high-grade magic tool that Elder Mo Hua used in the past. Whether it's the eagle beasts or the grass lizard, they'll die if they meet senior brother Su. Really? Lu Tian'er opened her big watery eyes and looked at Su Junqing with admiration. Senior brother Su, can you broaden our horizons? Yes, senior brother Su, we haven't seen what a high-grade magic tool looks like. Lu Mei-er said coquettishly. Since you say so, I'll let you broaden your horizons. Su Junqing was very pleased with the flattery of the two sisters, so he took out a 3-feet-long bone spear from his storage pouch. The bone spike was blood-red in color, and there were 3 beautiful ink flowers carved on it. It exuded an eerie aura and emitted a strange light. This demonic flower bone thorn was the magic tool that Elder Mo Hua used when he was building his foundation. Not only could the demonic flower automatically attack the enemy, but it could also absorb blood to recover its spirit. The more blood it absorbed, the more ferocious the demonic flower would be. Back then, it was also famous in the Yin Corpse sect. When Elder Ink Flower brought it over to reward Su Junqing, all the Ink Flower Peak disciples were so jealous that their eyes turned red. Su Junqing himself was very satisfied with this bone spike. Wow! The Lu sisters looked envious, but their hearts were filled with jealousy. They both used their looks to please people, but this Su Junqing obtained a Yin corpse and a treasure. How could he have such a good life? Yunjioga silently glanced at Su Junqing's bone spike. The set of bone spikes that Zishang made for her was not inferior to this demonic flower bone thorn, and even had more runes than it. However, this magic tool had killed over 1,000 people in the hands of Elder Mo Hua, so the bloody aura on it was far inferior to Yunjioga's bone spike. Su Junqing had Yi Yunji, the Yin spirit Dao body, and such a powerful magic tool. Even if his cultivation was suppressed to Qi disciple level 5, he would not be easy to deal with. There's something strange about this place. At this moment, Zishang's soft voice entered Yunjioga's ears. What's strange? Yunjioga replied in her heart. I can't say for sure now. You have to be careful, don't be careless. Zishang's tone was very serious. Okay. Originally, when Yunjioga heard that there was only a group of rank 2 grass lizards, she relaxed a little. Now that she heard Zishang's words, she secretly took out a bug-repellent pill, crushed it, and sprinkled it on her clothes. No, I feel that something is wrong. I have to personally investigate. Zishang said again. What? You're leaving? This little mystic realm was so dangerous. If you leave me alone, can't I have fun? I will leave a restriction on your body. It can block 2 full power strikes from a Foundation establishment cultivator. As long as you don't cause trouble, you won't die. After Zishang appeared, he tapped Yunjioga's arm. Yunjioga felt a pain on her arm. She rolled up her sleeve and saw 2 purple flowers next to the mark. All right, I'm leaving. Zishang seemed to be in a hurry to reincarnate, and disappeared in an instant. Hey! Yunjioga wanted to chase after him and ask a few questions, but at this moment, Su Junqing stood up and announced that the break was over. All right, let's go. With that said, he continued to lead the group forward. Yunjioga had no choice but to follow. The group passed through the wasteland and arrived at the grassland. Before they even stepped in, the eagle beasts in the sky suddenly retreated. Senior Su, why did the eagle beasts run away? Lu Mei raised her head to look at the eagle beasts' receding figures. Why did it feel like they were running away? In front of us is the grass lizard's territory. They probably don't dare to enter. Su Junqing randomly guessed. Before entering, every leading disciple would be given a map of the little mystic realm. On it, the danger level of each area was clearly marked. However, no one told him the details, so he didn't know either. The grass lizard should also be the eagle beast's food. Would a lion be afraid of entering the territory of a flock of sheep? Lu Tian felt that Su Junqing's words were very funny. I say, Junior Lu, Senior Su is not an eagle beast. Why are you asking so many questions? Anyway, no matter what, we have to pass through this grassland. Broom Chen said with dissatisfaction. Senior Brother Chen, what nonsense are you talking about? How can an eagle beast be as handsome as our senior brother Su? I was just curious. Why are you so anxious? Lu Tianer didn't have a good impression of Broom Chen, so she bluntly complained. Little sister, don't say any more. Right now, the most important thing is to pass through the grassland as soon as possible. Isn't that right, Senior Su? Lu Mei looked at Su Junqing gently. That's right, the human-faced peaches will ripen in 8 days. If we don't get there in 8 days, I don't need to say the sex punishment. Everyone knows that the Yin Chi cemetery is very empty. Su Junqing took the opportunity to remind the disciples. Senior Su, don't worry, we will definitely be the first to reach the destination. Broom Chen said confidently. These words ignited the fighting spirit of many disciples. They all shouted that they wanted to pass through the grassland and rush to the human-faced mountain. Yunjioga stood in place with a serious expression, looking at the grassland in front of her. Although she had not entered, her heart was beating non-stop. She felt that there was danger ahead. Chapter 3:14. Let's go. We'll cross the prairie in one go. Su Junqing commanded in high spirits and led the way into the prairie. The Lu sisters, Yunjioga, Broom Chen, and the other high-level disciples followed behind him. The low-level disciples formed a long line and entered the prairie in an orderly manner. The weeds seemed to be knee-high, but they reached up to their waists after entering. The mud under their feet was also very sticky, making it very difficult to walk. The high-level disciples naturally had an easy time, but the low-level disciples had a hard time. After walking for less than 100 meters, the neat line had a gap. The rank 2 disciples at the back of the line could no longer see the figure of the leader when they looked up. Senior brother, wait for us, the rank 2 disciples shouted in panic. Wait my ass. Walk faster or you'll become food for the grass lizards. Broom Chen roared in front. They hadn't encountered any attacks along the way. These disciples were clearly slacking off by walking so slowly. They had to teach them a lesson. Yunjioga didn't think so. She hung the sharp golden bone spur in the air and walked carefully in the grass that was half the height of a person. I say, Junior Brother Cloud 9, you don't need to be so careful. The grass lizard hasn't even appeared yet, and you're already so scared. Won't you be pissing your pants later? Broom Chen laughed heartily and waved his bone spear, clearing a path in front of them. Yunjioga didn't even look at him. She was still on guard and her pace was getting slower and slower. TCH. Broom Chen snorted in disdain. He was sure that Yunjiao was a coward. He ignored him and quickly followed Su Junqing's pace. Where's Yunjiao? Su Junqing asked. He peed his pants. The smell was so bad that I quickly ran away. Broom Chen laughed crudely. Then you should keep an eye on him. Su Junqing gave Broom Chen a warning look. Although he didn't plan on killing Yunjiao in the prairie, he still had to keep an eye on him. Senior brother is right. Should I go back and find him now? Broom Chen said hurriedly. There's no need. All the disciples were walking forward. If Broom Chen suddenly went against the flow, it might cause a panic. The Lu sisters silently listened to the conversation between the two, but a bad feeling arose in their hearts. Based on their understanding of senior brother Yunjiao, he was not a coward. If he was so cautious, then there was definitely something wrong with this grassland. As the two sisters thought about it, they silently raised their bone spears and joined the team that was clearing the grass. Su Junqing's plan was for the vanguard to clear a path through the grassland so that the lower-ranked disciples could walk more easily and prevent the grass lizards from suddenly attacking. However, as soon as they cleared the weeds, the disciples behind them walked past, and they were once again half the height of a person. Because the queue was too long, the flow of information remained the same. No one paid attention to such an obvious change and continued to stride forward. Some of the disciples even teased Yunjioga when they saw her slow pace. They then quickly overtook her. Senior brother Yunjioga, didn't you go to the front? Why are you back? Fatty was walking slowly, but he had already reached Yunjioga's side. There's something strange about these plains, said Yunjioga in a deep voice. Isn't it just a group of rank 2 grass lizards? With senior brother Su and the others clearing the path, we just need to take big strides forward. Fatty didn't think much of it. They had been here for so long without encountering a single grass lizard, so the disciples had completely let down their guard. Yes, we're taking big strides toward a dead end. Yunjioga looked at the continuously growing weeds in front of her, and the feeling of unease in her heart grew stronger. She stopped and took out a bone spear with bloodthirst runes carved on it. Senior brother, did you discover something? Fatty's heart skipped a beat and he hurriedly asked. Yunjioga didn't answer him and instead focused on the grassland not far away. She didn't know if it was just her imagination, but she felt that the grass was growing taller and closer to them. Not good, everyone be careful. Yunjioga shouted in a stern voice. 2 bone spears immediately pierced into the ground, and when they were pulled out again, blood splashed out. Ah! Mournful screams came from the front of the group. In the blink of an eye, a dozen or so disciples shrank and disappeared into the ground. The brown soil was instantly dyed red. What's going on? Didn't they say that this is the territory of the rank 2 grass lizards? Fatty was shocked. He hurriedly took out his bone spear and pierced it into the ground. The pale yellow soil immediately turned red. A random stab could have such an effect. It was easy to imagine how densely packed the monsters underground were. These aren't grass lizards, they're blood earth dragons. Yunjioga raised her hand and slapped the ground. The soil scattered, revealing blood-red earthworms. These earthworms were at least as thick as an arm. They burrowed in the soil, and when they grabbed a disciple and pulled him underground, they would instantly suck him dry. These were the bloodthirsty blood earth dragons. Oh my god. Fatty saw these densely packed blood earth dragons and had goosebumps all over his body. He attacked them like a madman. It's useless. These blood earth dragons are most afraid of cold air. You need to freeze them with your frost chi palm. Yunjioga stopped Fatty. With so many blood earth dragons, it was impossible to kill them all. The most important thing now was to safely pass through the grassland. Fatty tried to use his frost chi palm. The blood earth dragons that were hit by his palm stopped moving, but they quickly recovered. In this situation, we can only work together and kill our way out. Yunjioga said. Frost chi palm was only a low-level palm technique. It was usually used to deal with ghosts. It could slow down their movement speed. Because it only required 10 contribution points, all the outer sect disciples would learn it. Alright, I'll go get people now. Fatty took out his mountain bone spear and stabbed it into the ground. It immediately rose into the shape of a platform. He nimbly jumped onto the platform and shouted at the screaming and attacking disciples, Senior Brother Yunjio has found a way to deal with these blood earth dragons. Everyone, use your frost chi palm to slow them down. Then we can kill our way out. No one paid attention to Fatty's words. However, many clever disciples followed his example and stabbed their bone spears into the ground before jumping up. Countless bone spears rose from the grassland, each with a disciple squatting on top. The blood earth dragons could only roll on the ground. They couldn't do anything to them. However, this was definitely not a long-term plan. After all, these blood earth dragons wouldn't disperse. Once their bone spears ran out of spiritual energy, they could still be killed. Hey, did you guys hear what I said? Little Fatty shouted loudly. We didn't even have time to escape. Who has the time to listen to you? That's right. If you have something to say, spit it out. The outer sect disciples who barely survived were in the mood to talk to Fatty. Chapter 3:15. Little Fatty had no choice but to repeat, Senior Brother Yunjio found a way to deal with these blood dragons. Everyone use ice palm together to slow them down, then we can kill our way out. Really? The disciples were doubtful. Don't you know how to give it a try? Little Fatty said in annoyance. Immediately, some disciples tried it and found it was effective. They all became excited. It's really effective. But the time is too short. What's the use? That's why we need to work together. Little Fatty said. How do we work together? Tell us. The low-level disciples asked. Little Fatty didn't know how. He quickly called out to Yunjioga, Senior Brother Yunjio, come up and tell us how to work together. Yunjioga went up to the high platform and said to the low-level disciples, everyone, don't be afraid of these blood-poison dragons. You just have to deal with the ghosts and take turns to use the frigid ice energy palm. Maintain the rhythm and defend. Yeah, we usually enter the graveyard. Those ghosts are even fiercer than the blood dragons. There's nothing to be afraid of. Little Fatty seemed to have forgotten how cowardly he was when facing the blood dragons. Yeah, we usually kill ghosts wave after wave. There's nothing to be afraid of. The disciples began to encourage each other. At this time, a clear voice sounded, Senior Brother Yunjio, you killed the eagle first and found the blood dragon's weakness. Let us out. We'll listen to you. Yunjioga looked in the direction of the voice and saw a young man dressed in white standing on an ice-bone spike, talking to her. The youth was delicate and pretty with red lips and white teeth. He had a slim figure and clear eyes. If it wasn't for his Adam's apple, he would look like a girl. The bone spike under his feet was snow white with snowflake-like runes carved on it. It was actually a frost bone spike. In a damned place like Corpse sect, everyone focused on damage when making bone spikes. Bloodthirst, Bone Crusher, Poison Needle, and Black Chi were the most popular. Ice bone spikes like this youth were definitely rare, but they were definitely their saviors. Ice Heart Lotus is right. Right now, only Senior Brother Yunjio can lead us out of this grassland alive. Everyone listened to him. Little Fatty clearly recognized this somewhat girly youth. Right. Senior brother Ninth Cloud, we'll listen to you. Su Junxing had already led the high-ranking disciples far away, and the outer sect disciples had already lost their backbone. Now that someone was willing to stand up for them, they naturally responded with a single call. Of course, as long as someone stood up for them, they would obey. It was mainly because Yunjiao had killed an eagle beast when they first entered the secret realm, and he had discovered the Blood Earth Dragon's attack in advance. Now, he had discovered its weakness. All these factors convinced the disciples. Since everyone trusts me, then I won't be polite. Let's deal with ghosts like how we dealt with them. 10 people in a team. It's best to have familiar people cooperate with each other. Adjust according to your own situation. Those with lower cultivation will be in a team with more people, as long as they can cooperate. Every team maintained a distance of 3 people and adjusted according to the speed of the vanguard. Junior brother Shui, junior brother Jin Lin, the 2 of you follow me to lead the way. Yunjiao immediately ordered. In fact, these outer sect disciples had been killing ghosts in the Qi cemetery for a long time, so their ability to fight against enemies was not weak. As long as they were given a direction, it would be fine. Old Tai, here, we're still short 3 people. We need those with long legs and fast legs. These disciples immediately formed teams as if they were doing a mission after receiving the order. Very quickly, teams of 10 people were formed. They were not afraid of the extra. Low-ranking disciples usually formed teams of 15 to 20 people when they went to the Qi cemetery. Now, it was the same as usual. Senior brother Yunjiao, can we do it with just the 3 of us? Little Fatty looked worried. The task of the vanguard was the most important. They needed at least 10 people. As long as you don't slack off. Yunjiao glanced at Little Fatty. This guy had the support of an inner sect leader uncle, so he must have a lot of things to protect himself. If you dare to drag us down, you're dead. Ice Heart Lotus glared at Little Fatty. This young man looked weak and had a feminine name, but his personality was very fiery. Moreover, he seemed to be very familiar with Little Fatty. Yes. I definitely won't slack off. Little Fatty looked a little afraid of this Ice Heart Lotus. Based on his personality of sucking up to those in power, bullying the weak and fearing the strong, this Ice Heart Lotus background was not simple. Yunjiao's thoughts spun a few times, but his face did not show any expression. He ordered in a deep voice, Junior brother Shui, use your bone spike to open a path. Junior brother Jin Lin, use your frost energy palm to defend. Leave the rest to me. Yes. Ice Heart Lotus was a straightforward person. Since he said he trusted Yunjiao, he immediately took out his frost bone spike. A snow-white icy air sprayed forward, and the undulating grassland in front of them immediately froze. The blood dragons at the side were also quite afraid of this cold air and retreated to the side. Let's go. Yunjiao rushed forward with Ice Heart Lotus and Little Fatty. Some of the higher-ranking blood dragons immediately pounced at them without any regard for their own safety when they smelled the scent of living people. However, just as they leaped out of the ground, they were nailed down by Yunjiao's bone spike. Yunjiao was also going all out. 2 black bone spikes circled around him with black shadows. Every time they circled, countless blood dragons would die. Little Fatty only needed to focus on helping Ice Heart Lotus activate the cold air. Yunjiao could also use a powerful frost energy palm to fill in the gaps if the 2 of them couldn't. Yunjiao's frost energy palm did not cover as large an area as others. She was very meticulous with it. If there was a gap in the path in front, she would only fill in that corner. Then, she would press down with her palm and fill in the gaps in other areas. She was able to withstand 4 or 5 palm strikes from others with 1 palm strike because of her strong control ability and careful calculation of spiritual power. Ice Heart Lotus's team was very impressed. This senior brother Yunjiao could attack and defend, advance and retreat. He had no doubt that even if it was just senior brother Yunjioga alone, he would be able to kill his way out of the grassland. Yunjioga, Ice Heart Lotus and Little Fatty advanced at an extremely fast speed. The team behind them also followed closely. Every one of them unleashed a frigid energy palm, one after another. That icy road was maintained in a frozen state. Even if there were occasionally blood dragons that were not afraid of death that pounced forward, they would be quickly killed by the experienced disciples. As the disciples ran, they soon realized that the blood-earthen dragons were nothing compared to the nether ghosts that were coming at them endlessly. With this thought, the disciples relaxed a lot and responded more flexibly. The disciples ran all the way and none of them fell behind. They smoothly entered the depths of the grassland. Chapter 3:16. Everyone be careful, the area in front is equivalent to the inner area of rank 2 ghosts. Follow the team in front and don't mess up. Yunjioga reminded loudly. When the low-ranked disciples heard that it was the inner area of rank 2 ghosts, their legs began to weaken. When they fought ghosts in the energy cemetery, they never dared to enter this area. Occasionally, a rank 2 ghost would come out and they would be wiped out. But in this situation, it was impossible to retreat, so they could only brace themselves and go forward. The ground in the depths of the grassland was turbulent. The weeds were as tall as small trees. Many blood-earth dragons revealed their ferocious bodies. The largest one was as thick as an adult's thigh. They had thick skin and powerful strength, making them very difficult to deal with. Ice Heart Lotus desperately waved the frostbone spikes, but the frozen ground was undulating. Yunjioga and the others felt like they were walking on a bumpy stream. They had to increase the output of their frosting energy palm to ensure that the ice road wouldn't crack. Because of this, her spiritual power was quickly consumed. Dense beads of sweat appeared on Ice Heart Lotus's forehead. She quickly took the time to pour 2 spirit recovery pills into her mouth. The low-ranked disciples at the back also began to have casualties. Luckily, they were relatively calm and didn't make a fuss and disturb the team's morale. These disciples were very clear that death was normal after entering the inner area. They could only brace themselves and continue forward to have a path of survival. Yunjioga saw that this couldn't go on, so he said to Ice Heart Lotus, "You have a mutated ice spirit root, right?" "That's right." Ice Heart Lotus nodded. His spirit root would be a treasure in a righteous sect, but it was lacking in an evil sect. His cultivation method didn't match. Unfortunately, his sister-in-law was from the Een Corpse sect, so he could only join the Een Corpse sect. "Then do you know how to turn water into ice?" Yunjioga asked again. Of course. Ice Heart Lotus felt that Yunjioga's question was nonsense. Ice Spirit Root was a mutated water spirit root. How could he not know how to play with water? "Alright, I will create a water path later. You can try to turn the path into ice," Yunjioga said. This was more efficient and used less spirit power. However, it was very important to control. He didn't know if Ice Heart Lotus could do it. "Senior brother Yunjio, how can we let him try at a time like this?" Little Fatty hurriedly said. The entire way forward was relying on the Ice Heart Lotus's frostbone thorns to open up a path. If he pulled out halfway, he wouldn't be able to deal with it. "Just do what you need to do. You don't have to worry about anything else," Yunjioga said and took out a transparent glass bottle from his storage pouch. It was filled with green mist. It looked hazy and very beautiful. "What is this?" Little Fatty couldn't help but ask. "Exterminating spirit insects." Yunjioga had specially refined it before entering the mystic realm. Originally, he wanted to deal with the poisonous mosquitoes and other demon beasts that would appear in the miasma, but now it was more suitable to deal with the blood-earth dragon. Especially now that they were on the upwind side and the wind was blowing downwards, it was simply the right time, place, and people. Exterminating spirit insects? Fatty curled his lips. The name sounded really tacky. Yunjioga ignored him and forcefully threw out the spirit insect bottle. The small glass bottle tumbled in the air. Just as it was about to hit the ground, a bone spear filled with black mist instantly pierced through it. This was Yunjioga's third bone spear, the poison gas thorn. It finally made its appearance. The green mist spread out and was restricted into a long line by the bone spurs that were constantly shuttling back and forth. Following this, the mist condensed into small green clouds and dark green raindrops began to fall. The raindrops made a sizzling sound as they landed on the ground. The previously arrogant poison earth dragon immediately turned into a pool of blood after being drenched by the dark green raindrops. In the blink of an eye, the long path had turned into a river of blood. Little Fatty's mouth was so big that an egg could be stuffed in it. My God, this exterminating spirit insects is too powerful. It was only then that little Fatty recalled a rumor that senior brother Yunjio was a poison master. However, after entering the sect, he was always in closed-door cultivation and didn't make any more poisons, so the rumor died down. Ice Heart Lotus couldn't help but swallow her saliva. If Yunjio used this move to deal with them, there wouldn't be many people here who could withstand it. What are you spacing out for? Hurry up and freeze the blood. Yunjioga glanced at Ice Heart Lotus. Why was this child in a daze? Oh. Ice Heart Lotus regained her senses and immediately spat out cold air at the blood. This time, he didn't make a big move but controlled it with a purpose. The blood river slowly froze, leaving only a trace of cold air outside. Although the final path was a bit wider than before, it was still not bad. Let's go. Yunjioga used the exterminating spirit insects and the poison gas thorn to create blood rivers. Ice Heart Lotus was in charge of freezing the blood rivers. Little Fatty was in charge of killing the blood earth dragons that had fallen into the net. The low-level disciples hurriedly followed behind. Just like this, the group of people finally killed their way out of the grassland. When they saw the barren wasteland, many disciples cried tears of joy, tears of escaping death. It's not safe enough here. Let's go a bit further. Yunjioga quickly said. Now wasn't the time to relax. Who knew if those blood earth dragons would come out? Many people were already paralyzed on the ground, but when they heard her words, they immediately jumped up and continued forward. 3 miles away from the grassland, Su Junqing and the others had just stopped to rest when they heard the sound of chaotic footsteps. Go take a look. Su Junqing indicated to Broom Chen. Yes. Although Broom Chen was extremely tired, he didn't dare disobey Su Junqing's orders. He dragged his heavy body up a tall stone pile and looked into the distance. He was so shocked that he almost fell down. What's wrong? Su Junqing asked. I saw those low-level disciples come out of the grassland. There's about 700 of them. Broom Chen said in disbelief. He thought that other than their elite team, the low-level disciples had all died in the grassland. How is that possible? Su Junqing didn't believe it. Those blood earth dragons in the depths of the grassland were all rank 2. If it wasn't for his demonic flower thorn opening the way, they wouldn't have made it out alive. It's true. If you can't, come take a look. Broom Chen said. Before Su Junqing could move, the Lu sisters had already climbed up the stone pile. When they saw senior brother Yunjioga's cold demonic face, they were so excited that they almost cried. They knew that with senior brother Yunjioga's strength, there was no way he would die in the grassland. Senior brother Yunjioga, there's someone on the stone pile over there. Little Fatty shouted. It's the Lu sisters. Yunjioga's eyes were sharp. He immediately saw the ruby headdress the Lu sisters were wearing. We finally caught up with the main group. The disciples pulled themselves together and walked toward the stone pile. Soon, they met up with Su Junqing and the others. Chapter 317. Senior brother Su, what happened to you guys? Little Fatty thought they were already in a miserable state, but Su Junqing and the rest were in an even worse state. The Lu sisters and Broom were covered in blood, exhausted, and in a sorry state. Many of them were injured and moaning on the ground. In comparison, little Fatty, Yunjioga, and the rest were so clean that they didn't look like they had just gone through a bloody battle. Not even a drop of blood stained Ice Lotus's white robe. Although the low-level disciples behind them were in a sorry state, they were still clean. In short, they were much better off than Su Junqing and the rest. How did you guys get through the grasslands? Didn't you encounter any blood dragons? Su Junqing asked in surprise. How is it possible that we didn't encounter a blood earth dragon? If senior brother Yunjio hadn't discovered that the ice energy could slow down the blood earth dragon's movements, we would have died in the grasslands. Little Fatty was still shocked at the thought of what had happened. Even if he had thrown out the treasure his uncle had given him, he might not have been able to leave the grasslands safely. It was all thanks to senior brother Yunjio. Yeah, it's all thanks to senior brother Yunjio for saving us. Senior brother Yunjio is too amazing. Without him, we'd all be dead, the disciples discussed animatedly, all of them praising Yunjioga. The Lu sisters couldn't help but feel vexed. They should have stayed by senior brother Yunjio's side. Su Junqing vowed to be their backer, but when those poisonous earth dragons appeared just now, he ran faster than anyone else and didn't even look at the two sisters. If senior brother Yunjio hadn't given them a lot of high-level soul recovery and poison prevention pills, as well as helped them refine the earth spirit bone spikes, they would have died in the grasslands. The Lu sisters were even more dissatisfied with Su Junqing when they thought of this. If it wasn't for him being the leader, they would have immediately sought refuge with senior brother Yunjio. Su Junqing's expression was extremely ugly. As the leader, he had gone through untold hardships before finally leading the 4th and 5th level Qi disciples to a bloody path through the grasslands. In the end, Yunjio had easily rescued more than 700 low-level disciples. This was basically a slap to his face. He was just short of pointing at his forehead and calling him useless. Junior brother Yunjioga sure is lucky to be able to make it through such a dangerous grassland. We'll have to rely on junior brother's luck from now on. Broomchen laughed heartily, attributing Yunjioga's efforts to luck. Yunjiogu ignored him and asked Su Junqing, senior brother Su, didn't you say the grasslands are the second stage grass lizards' territory? Why are there so many blood dragons? She asked not because she was doubting, but because she really felt this grasslands were abnormal. The number and level of the blood earth dragons were simply too high. If it was like this in the past, then it was impossible for the Een Corp sect not to remind them. Junior brother Yunjio, what do you mean by that? This is senior brother Su's first time entering this dungeon. How could he have known that there were so many blood earth dragons in this grassland? How can you blame him? Su Yuni Yun, Su Yun, Yun Yun Yun, Yun Yun Chi. Yunjiogu found a corner to rest when she saw that Yunjiogu was no longer in the mood to discuss these abnormalities. Broomchen felt that he had chased Yunjiogu away, so he happily called out to the disciples, "You've all worked hard. Let's rest. I'm so tired." The disciple immediately sat down on the ground and began treating his wounds and resting. Ice Heart Lotus and Lil Fatty ran to Yunjiogu's side. Yunjiogu, do you still have more of that spirit insect extermination? Lil Fatty asked with a round face. Other than selling information, this guy also did some profiteering. The power of that spirit insect extermination had really opened his eyes. If he could sell it outside, it would definitely be a good price. This poison is not easy to refine. I only have a few bottles and I've used them all. Yunjiogu wouldn't sell them even if she had them. Spirit insect extermination required 49 different poisons to refine. The process was very complicated. If it wasn't for this little secret realm, she wouldn't have refined it. Moreover, this kind of large-scale poison was harmful to the world. It was fine to use it to save one's life, but it was a sin to use it to make money. Yunjiogu's roots were very upright. If Yunjiogu has more good stuff like this in the future, you must inform me in advance. We can discuss the price. Lil Fatty said unwillingly. Yunjiao-gu nodded perfunctorily. The poison she concocted was for her own use and she never sold it. At this moment, Ice Heart Lotus came over and pushed Lil Fatty away. She then asked seriously, Yunjiao-gu, you usually cultivate your control. Yunjiao-gu couldn't possibly tell Ice Heart Lotus that her control came from her dual cultivation with Zi Shang, that beast, right? That beast caught her for dual cultivation every day, but the amount of spiritual energy produced was so little. In order to escape from the abyss of suffering, she had no choice but to carefully control her spiritual energy and slowly remove the poison in her dantian. After a long period of time, this control came out. TSK, this is Yunjiao-ge's unique secret. Can I tell you? Lil Fatty thought it was inconvenient for Yunjiao-gu to say it, so he quickly tried to smooth things over. I was indeed rash. Ice Heart Lotus scratched her head in embarrassment. Her naive look was much cuter than Lu Tian'er. Actually, it's not a secret. It's just that my method isn't suitable for you. If you want to practice, you can try condensing a ball of water on your fingertip, then add one to each finger. Yunjiao-gu gave Ice Heart Lotus an idea. Although the Ice Spirit Root was a variation of the Water Spirit Root, Ice Heart Lotus clearly only focused on cultivating the Ice Spirit Root. She had forgotten that water was the origin. Only by understanding the profound meaning of water could she use the Ice Spirit Root. Alright, I'll try. Ice Heart Lotus first raised her thumb and condensed a water droplet, then her index finger. The first two fingers were relatively smooth, but when the water droplet appeared on the third finger, the first two fingers disappeared. When your 10 fingers can be as regular as the rain, that's when you'll succeed. Yunjiao-gu saw that Ice Heart Lotus was a stubborn person. If she could continue cultivating like this, her cultivation would definitely improve greatly. Alright. Ice Heart Lotus nodded excitedly. A blush flashed across her fair, jade-like face. It seemed that she had made up her mind to try it out. Yunjiao-gu, what about me? Lil Fatty also came over to ask. Go back and ask your uncle. Yunjiao-gu glanced at him. My uncle can't cultivate. Lil Fatty's face was bitter as he pestered Yunjiao-gu. Teach me. You have the Earth Spirit Root. Normally, condense a layer of Earth element under your feet to walk. When that layer of Earth element can cover your entire body, you'll be fine. Seeing that Lil Fatty had sold quite a lot of useful information, Yunjiao-gu casually gave him a few pointers. Alright. Lil Fatty felt that it was reasonable and quickly went to the side to try it out. Chapter 318. Although Yunjiao-gu was only at the Qi refinement stage, she was already an advanced spiritualist back in the Thunder Nation. She was not far from the foundation establishment stage. Now that she was cultivating from the beginning, her comprehension was even stronger. Giving pointers to 2 Qi refinement stage 3 disciples was a piece of cake. TSK, she really thinks she's some big shot, giving pointers. Broom Chen sneered. That's right, Senior Su hasn't even said anything yet. Low-level disciples are really ignorant. The others flattered. Su Junqing did not say anything, but his gloomy expression showed that he was very unhappy. Senior Su, don't be angry. We're about to reach the Black Pool. When the time comes. Broom Chen smiled sinisterly. Su Junqing's expression eased up. Are you guys ready? Senior Su, don't worry. I guarantee that this kid won't be able to return. Broom Chen also disliked Yunjiao. Previously, with Su Junqing's help, he killed Fatty Chiu and became the leader of the second peak. But today, Yunjiao saved the low-level disciples from the grassland and became their savior. When they returned to the outer sect peak, Yunjiao would be the new leader. There would be no place for him. Therefore, Yunjiao had to die. Su Junqing calmed himself down and stood up. Everyone, this is not a good place to rest. There's a small canyon up ahead. It's a safe zone. We'll rest there tonight. Yes. The disciples hurriedly answered. Although Senior Su wasn't very impressive on this grassland trip, he was still the leader and a proud disciple of the Ink Flower Peak. These low-level disciples did not dare to disobey his orders. The rest of the journey was relatively peaceful. Occasionally, a few demonic beasts would appear, but they were quickly killed by the high-level disciples. At dusk, Yunjioga and the rest finally arrived at the small canyon that Su Junqing mentioned. Although not a single blade of grass grew here and it was completely empty, it made the disciples who had experienced the thrilling grassland feel relaxed from the bottom of their hearts. Without waiting for Su Junqing's orders, the outer sect disciples formed groups of 10 and started a bonfire according to the group they had when they were exploring the grassland. Yunjioga kept a low profile and went to a corner. Ice Heart Lotus and little fatty Jean Lin automatically followed beside her and helped to light the bonfire like little brothers. The bonfire that Su Junqing, the Lu sisters, Broom Chen and the other high-ranking disciples made in the middle of the group was the brightest. Senior brother Yunjiu, you've always been so nice to those two sisters, but they didn't even come to greet you, little fatty grumbled, feeling sorry for senior brother Yunjiu. Yunjioga glanced at the Lu sisters. The two sisters had just found a place to freshen up. Although they had already changed into new clothes, they still looked very tired. At this moment, he was leaning against the fire, looking listless. He didn't even look in Yunjioga's direction. Before entering the small mysterious realm, Yunjioga had already told the two sisters to keep their distance. Unless Su Junqing made a move, they would not contact him, so he was very satisfied with their attitude. Senior brother Su, didn't the sect give you a map? Tell us about the places we're going to pass by. Broom Chen raised his voice and asked. Yeah, if you tell us, we can all discuss it. Even if something unexpected happens, we definitely won't blame you like some ignorant people, the other high-ranking disciples said with innuendo. Today's matter in the grassland was my fault. It caused everyone to suffer heavy losses. It's my fault, Su Junqing first painfully reflected on his mistake. His attitude immediately made the low-ranking disciples have a good impression of him. The Een Corp sect's inner sect disciples always had their eyes on the top of their heads. Even if they did something wrong, they wouldn't admit it to a low-ranking disciple. Su Junqing's attitude was really rare. Senior brother Su, please don't say that. If it wasn't for you leading the way in fighting a bloody battle, we would already be dead. Without you, we wouldn't have been able to get here. Broom Chen and the others immediately flattered Su Junqing. When the atmosphere was almost ready, Su Junqing then said, according to the sect's map, we still have to pass through the Death Swamp. This swamp is filled with miasma. Not only are there groups of poisonous mosquitoes and insects, there are also many armored crocodiles hiding there. It's even more dangerous than the grassland. Su Junqing's expression became serious. He definitely wasn't trying to scare them. Every time they passed through this swamp, more than half of them would die. Even he had to be extremely careful. Heavens, then wouldn't we be courting death by going to the swamp? Broom Chen shouted exaggeratedly. When the low-ranking disciples heard this news, they turned pale with fright. Before they entered the secret realm, there were more than 1,000 people. Now that they passed the grassland, there were only 700 people left. If the swamp was even more dangerous than the grassland, then wouldn't it be a 9 out of 10 chance of survival? Lu Tian pitifully grabbed her sister's hand. Su Junqing couldn't be relied on. They had to think of a way to go to senior brother Yunjiu. Lu Mei patted her sister's hand. With the current situation, they could only take it one step at a time. Senior brother Yunjiu, what should we do? Little Fatty also swallowed his saliva. Although his uncle gave him a protective talisman to pass through the swamp, after the thrilling experience in the grassland, he didn't believe that this protective talisman would be effective. Listen to what he has to say. Yunjiu looked at Su Junqing's expression. He didn't just say it to scare everyone. he definitely had a way to deal with it. Sure enough, Su Junqing waited for the outer sect disciples to finish their discussion before saying, although the death swamp is dangerous, the sect has found a way to deal with it after so many years. What way? Senior brother, hurry up and say it. At this point, no one wanted to die. Everyone, listen to me. Su Junqing gestured for everyone to calm down. After everyone quietened down, he said, if we want to successfully pass through the death swamp, we have to go to the black water pond that is 10 miles away from here to find the black crystal water grass. This kind of water grass can not only dispel the miasma, it can also get rid of poisonous insects. As long as you carry it on your body, even the armored crocodiles won't easily get close. Is the black water pond very dangerous? They had just experienced a huge battle, and were really scared out of their wits. There is a school of second-level sharp-fang fish in the black water pond, but the sect specially refined a type of pill to avoid them. If we sneak in at night, we won't encounter any danger. Su Junqing continued. Senior brother Su, I volunteered to help everyone find the black crystal water grass. Broom Chen stood up, instantly receiving a round of applause. Someone volunteered to do such a dangerous thing, he had to be encouraged. Junior brother Chen is indeed a good person. I have a total of 6 pills here, and you can choose another 5 people to go with you. Su Junqing said. Junior brother Wang, junior brother Chiu. Broom Chen picked 5 of his subordinates in one breath, and finally pointed in Yunjiu Ge's direction. He smiled and said, Junior brother Yunjiu's luck is so strong, I also hope that I can benefit from his luck and help everyone bring back the black crystal water grass. Chapter 319. When Lu Tian'er heard Broom Chen's words, she tightened her grip on Lu Mei's hand. She opened her mouth to say something but could not say a word. Su Junqing and Broom Chen were obviously targeting senior brother Yunjiu. Even if they objected, it would be useless. Instead, it would arouse Su Junqing's suspicion. Beside the bonfire, Yunjiu lowered his reddened eyes. His pale face was expressionless, as if he did not know Su Junqing was targeting him. I'll go too. Ice Heart Lotus suddenly said. Her beautiful eyes reflected the bonfire with a determined glow. Little Fatty hesitated for a moment before saying, then I'll go too. His voice was so soft that it sounded like a buzzing mosquito. Su Junqing frowned slightly. Although Ice Heart Lotus and Jean Lin were outer sect disciples, there were people in the inner sect. Furthermore, they were not ordinary people. It was fine if something happened to them in the grasslands, but if people knew that he had sent them on a dangerous mission, they would probably hold a grudge. He had to think of a way to stop these 2 troublemakers. At that moment, Yunjiu said lightly, the quality of the people for this mission is not the quantity. I'll go with senior brother Chen. Senior brother Yunjiu. Ice Heart Lotus frowned. Could he not tell that Su Junqing was deliberately messing with him? Perhaps they had already set up a trap at the black pool. When do we set off? Yunjiu looked at Su Junqing. If Su Junqing was leading the team personally, she would still have some reservations. Broom Chen and a few small shrimps, killing them in minutes was not difficult at all. After midnight. Su Junqing smiled. He could not be more satisfied with Yunjiu Ge's cooperation. All right. Yunjiu nodded. Then, he said to Ice Heart Lotus and Little Fatty, I'm tired. I need to rest. You guys go to the side. With that said, he found a place to close his eyes. Ice Heart Lotus and Little Fatty looked at each other. Not knowing what to say, they obediently went to the side. After Su Junqing arranged for the patrolling disciples, he let them sleep on the ground. The night in the small mystic realm was gloomy. There were no stars or moon. The clouds were thick and there was no wind. It was so hot that it was uncomfortable. Although everyone had insect repellent on them, the dark green mosquitoes still buzzed around them. If they were accidentally stared at, they would immediately become a blood bag. Even if they wanted to sleep, it would be very difficult. Su Junqing was also annoyed by the bugs. He opened his eyes and looked at the Lu sisters, only to see that they were refreshed and there were no mosquitoes on them. He couldn't help but wake Lu Tian'er up and ask, "Junior sister Lu, do you have any special insect repellent pills on you?" "No, we also used the insect repellent powder given by the sect." Lu Tian'er blinked her big eyes and pretended to be ignorant. There was no way she would tell Su Junqing that she had used senior brother Yunjio's bug repellent. "Senior brother, have you used up all of your insect repellent powder?" "I still have some here, senior brother, take it." Lu Mei pretended to wake up and handed over the insect repellent powder given by the sect. No need. He had a lot of these things, but they had no effect on the mosquitoes in this small mystic realm. When Su Junqing thought about how the mosquitoes would be even scarier after entering the swamp, he felt irritated. He wanted to personally go to the black water pool and bring back the black crystal water grass. However, he had already formulated a flawless plan. He believed that Broom Chen and the others would definitely be able to kill Cloud 9 and bring back the black crystal aquatic grass. Su Junqing felt much better when he thought of this. He decided not to sleep anymore and sat up to wait for the time to come. When the time came, Yunjiu got up on time. Many disciples also opened their eyes secretly. Ice Heart Lotus and Little Fatty looked at Broom Chen and the others nervously. "Senior brother Su, can you give us the pills now?" Broom Chen and his 4 subordinates surrounded Su Junqing. "Keep these maps and pills well." Su Junqing took out a map and a small white jade bottle. "Senior brother Su, you can't put all your eggs in the same basket. This black water pool is so dangerous. If something happens to senior brother Chen, won't our black crystal water grass go to waste?" Little Fatty complained, completely ignoring Broom Chen's threatening gaze. "That's right. It's better to distribute the pills now." Ice Heart Lotus also said. Su Junqing rolled his eyes and said with a smile, "Junior brothers are right. Let's distribute them now." He poured the black pills in the jade bottle into his palm and said to Broom Chen and the others, "This is the qi concealing and water repelling pill refined by the sect. Not only can it cover up the human smell, it can also prevent water from escaping. Even if you enter the water, you won't have to be afraid of being discovered by the sharp-teethed fish." "Thank you, senior brother." Broom Chen took one. The others followed, with Yunjiu at the back. "Junior brother Yunjiu, you have to be careful during this mission. So many of our lives are in your hands." Su Junqing personally placed the black pill into Yunjiu's palm. "Senior brother Su, don't worry. I definitely won't let you down." Yunjiu said word by word in a serious tone. "Alright, it's getting late. You guys should hurry over." Su Junqing said with a smile. "Senior brother, just wait for our good news." Broom Chen cupped his hands, exchanged a look with Su Junqing, and led the others out of the canyon. Under the worried gazes of Little Fatty, Ice Heart Lotus, and the Lu sisters, Yunjiu silently left with Broom Chen. 10 miles away from the camp, there was a pitch-black pool of water embedded in the sunken canyon. Not a single blade of grass grew around the pool. There were no signs of humans, birds, or beasts. The pool was even darker than the night sky. It was pitch black, and even when the wind blew, it didn't cause any ripples. At this moment, Yunjiu, Broom Chen, and the others were standing by the side of the black pool. "Junior brother Yunjiu, hurry up and eat the pill. The sooner we find the black crystal water grass, the sooner our fellow brothers can rest assured." Broom Chen said seriously. Under the nervous gazes of Broom Chen and the others, Yunjiu slowly put the black pill that Su Junqing had just given him into his mouth. Then, he placed his tongue on the roof of his mouth. Although Broom Chen heaved a sigh of relief, he didn't dare show it on his face. Instead, he pretended as if nothing had happened and said to the others, "Everyone, relax. After eating this pill, the sharp-toothed fish will definitely avoid us. Let's hurry into the water and try to get more black crystal water grass back. After saying that, he called out to Yunjio-gu, junior brother Yunjio, you go first. Their plan was to kill Yunjio in the water. If he didn't go into the water, it would be troublesome. Let's go together. Yunjio-gu said calmly. Alright, then let's go together. Broom Chen nodded readily, then led the way into the pool. Junior brother Yunjio, let's go. The other 4 disciples looked at Yunjio-gu with smiles. It was obvious that they wanted to line up behind her. Yunjio-gu didn't say anything else and went straight into the black pool. The other 4 disciples' eyes flashed with viciousness as they followed behind her into the water. Chapter 320. The water of the black pool was very cold, as if it was made of yin qi. The visibility in the water was very low, and it was as dark as the deep sea. Broom Chen took out a light blue bead from his storage bag. After inserting spirit energy into it, it emitted a faint light, illuminating the surroundings within a 10-meter radius. Yunjioga nimbly swam in the water, maintaining a certain distance from Broom Chen and the others. Broom Chen didn't have any intention of approaching her. He brought his subordinates to the depths of the pool, and found a cluster of black water plants, emitting a gentle and beautiful light. Broom Chen shook the bead in Yunjioga's hand, and the light turned into a line of large words. We'll go pick it, you protect us. Yunjioga patted the water, indicating her agreement. Broom Chen and the others slowly sank to the bottom of the pool, and then reached out to grab the black crystal water plants and forcefully pulled them out. The originally calm water immediately began to churn, as if a slumbering monster was awakening. Following that, the water in the distance began to ripple, and countless large fish with snow-white scales swam towards Yunjioga. The fish's mouths were filled with fine white teeth, and it was obvious they weren't vegetarians. Broom Chen immediately inserted spirit energy into the blue bead in his hand, and a faint blue light enveloped him and his 4 disciples. Hee hee, brat, die. Broom Chen revealed a proud smile. Before Su Junqing entered the small hidden realm, he had already given them the real qi-concealing water pill. Yunjioga only received a normal water-concealing pill, which could only last for a short period of time, and definitely not enough for her to escape. Broom Chen thought of the bloody scene of Yunjioga being torn to shreds by the sharp-teeth fish, and became extremely excited. Unexpectedly, Yunjio calmly took out a black pouch from his storage bag and shook it in the face of the sharp-fang fish that were swarming towards him. Dozens of small white bones floated out, and quickly formed the skeleton of a large monkey. Following that, the soul fire in the monkey's eyes lit up, and a gray light enveloped Yunjioga's body. Broom Chen stared at the small white bone monkey, and clearly recognized the identity of the profound Yin white bone monkey. His heart was burning with passion. This profound Yin white bone monkey was a great helper for cultivation. If he could get his hands on it, he would be able to reach foundation building soon. Unfortunately, before he could finish his thoughts, he saw Yunjioga take out a faint blue stone, and put it in his mouth. Then he turned and swam towards Broom Chen and the others. His speed was even faster than the sharp-teeth fish. There was a loud bang. 3 black bone spikes that flickered with different colors struck their protective shields. The barrier shook violently, and the light slowly dimmed. Yunjiogu waved his hand again, and 3 bone spikes shot out simultaneously, once again exploding on Broom Chen and the rest's defensive barrier. This time, the light blue bead directly shattered into countless water droplets, and the protective shield also disappeared. This time, the blue pearl directly shattered into countless water droplets, and the barrier disappeared. Yunjioga floated in the water, her black hair swaying in the wind. Her pale face, slightly red eyes, light purple lips, and exquisite facial features made her look as beautiful as a water demon. That pair of cold eyes looked at Broom Chen and the others as if he was looking at dead people. She waved her fair palm lightly, and the 3 bone spikes turned into black smoke. They spun around Broom Chen and the others' bodies, and instantly cut open their skin. The red blood spread in the pool, immediately causing a commotion among the sharp-toothed fish. Broom Chen's eyes widened in horror. When Su Junqing gave them the pills, he repeatedly emphasized one point, and that was that they absolutely could not see blood, otherwise the effects of the pills would immediately disappear. Escape, they must escape immediately. Broom Chen took out his own bone spear, infused all of his spiritual energy into it, and dashed towards the surface of the water. The other disciples also followed suit. Yunjioga landed in the middle of the black crystal aquatic grass and watched as they frantically fled. He slowly began to harvest the black crystal aquatic grass. In terms of concealing one's aura and avoiding water, was there anything more awesome than the mystic white skeleton monkey and the blue water crystal? Those sharp-toothed fishes ignored her and the white bone monkey, crazily chasing after Broom Chen and the others. Broom Chen and the others struggled with all their might in the water, but their flesh was still bitten off by the sharp-toothed fishes. The entire pool was dyed red with blood. In the small canyon, Su Junqing was not sleepy at all. From time to time, he would glance at the entrance of the canyon. According to his calculations, Broom Chen and the others should have completed their mission and returned. Why was there still no movement? At this moment, the patrolling disciple ran back excitedly and said, "Senior Yunjiao is back," and he even brought back a lot of black crystal aquatic grass. Just as he finished speaking, a slender figure appeared at the entrance of the canyon. He was carrying a large bundle of black crystal aquatic grass that was slightly covered in water vapor. The storage bag on his waist had a small opening, and a bundle of black crystal aquatic grass flowed out, as if it could not be filled and could not be pulled out. Senior Yunjiao is too awesome. When the disciples saw the black crystal aquatic grass, they all cheered. What did it mean for Senior Yunjiao to carry it on his back? It meant that the storage bag could not hold it anymore. These low-level disciples were previously worried that there would not be enough black crystal aquatic grass, and that they would not receive much. Now, it seemed that there was more than enough. When Su Junqing saw that Yunjiao had returned, he was so angry that he almost exploded. Broom Chen and the others were really useless. The trap that he had meticulously designed actually allowed Yunjiao to survive. Senior Su, with so many black crystal aquatic grass, we should have no problem crossing the deathly swamp, right? Lu Tian'er acted as if she did not see Su Junqing's ugly expression and asked with a sweet smile. It shouldn't be a problem. Su Junqing forced a smile. Senior Su, fortunately, we did not disappoint you. Yunjiao threw the pile of black crystal aquatic grass in front of Su Junqing. Junior Yunjiao is really lucky. Su Junqing squeezed out a comforting smile, then looked behind Yunjiao and asked, "Where are Junior Chen and the others?" Senior Chen and the others accidentally cut their hands while picking the black crystal aquatic grass and attracted a lot of sharp-toothed fish. At that time, the situation was critical, and for the sake of the bigger picture, they let me leave with the black crystal aquatic grass first. In the end, they were surrounded by the sharp-toothed fish and died in the line of duty. Not even their bones were left. Yunjiao's face was expressionless, but his voice was filled with pain. Sob sob sob, Senior Chen is really righteous. Sob sob sob, we will not forget Senior Chen's kindness. The Lu sisters immediately started sobbing. All the disciples also expressed that Senior Chen had died a worthy death and that they would definitely remember it in their hearts. Pooey. What do you mean by dying in the line of duty? It was clearly you who secretly killed them. Su Junqing roared in his heart, but now that the crowd was in high spirits, he did not want to pour cold water on them. He could only force a smile and say, "When we return, I will definitely report Junior Chen's heroic deeds to the sect and record their contributions." Yes, yes, yes. All the disciples nodded their heads, but at the same time, they were thinking, he's already dead, what's the use of recording his contributions? Chapter 321. Senior Brother Su, the dead are already dead. The living are more important. Take a look at how to distribute the black crystal aquatic grass. As Yunjiao spoke, he poured out the black crystal aquatic grass from his storage bag. She had purposely dove into the deepest part of the black water pool and found a patch of black crystal aquatic grass that was over 100 years old. She even picked the best quality ones. Each of the black crystal aquatic grass was 3 feet long and completely black. They shone faintly even after leaving the water. It was obvious that they were of the highest quality. These black crystal aquatic grass are of high quality. Everyone only needs one. Su Junqing focused and distributed the black crystal aquatic grass. The human-sized black crystal aquatic grass was distributed to more than 700 disciples. There was still a large pile left. Su Junqing naturally had to take care of the rest. At this time, Yunjioga spoke. Why don't we give everyone one more? It's better to be prepared. That's right, there are still so many left. It's more than enough to give everyone one more. Little Fatty hurriedly agreed. The other disciples naturally agreed as well. What was in their hands belonged to them. If they left it with Su Junqing, they would have to beg him to use it. If they didn't beg, they would lose their lives. Although Su Junqing was unwilling, these black crystal aquatic grass were brought back by Yunjioga. If he wanted to distribute it, he would lose the hearts of the people if he stopped him. All right, then everyone will take one more. Su Junqing distributed another round of black crystal aquatic grass. Finally, there were only about 10 left. He put them away with a pained expression. Then, he ordered, everyone, rest for 45 minutes. Then, we will head to the deathly swamp. Yes. The disciples carefully stored the black crystal aquatic grass in the safest place. Then, they checked their storage bags. 45 minutes later, they set off on time. After Yunjioga and the others walked through a large wasteland, they finally arrived at the deathly swamp. From afar, it looked like an endless stretch of brown swamp. The swamp looked very calm. There were no mosquitoes, no armored crocodiles, and not even miasma. Senior Brother Su, is this the deathly swamp? It doesn't look very dangerous. Lu Tian'er looked left and right but couldn't see the aura of death. There must be a reason behind this. Everyone, be careful. After the blood earthworm in the grassland, Su Junqing didn't dare to underestimate this swamp. After he took out the demonic flower bone spur, he thought that it wasn't safe, so he opened a small red pouch covered with runes. A beautiful woman wearing a red palace dress appeared beside him. The girl's face was pale, her eyes were lifeless, her eyebrows were like a painting, and there was a very eye-catching red mole. It was Yi Yunji that had been refined into a Yin corpse. Senior Brother Su, is this your life source Yin corpse? It's so beautiful. Lu Tian'er praised. Now is not the time to worry about this. Everyone, when we enter the swamp, don't panic. Follow me closely. Su Junqing ignored Lu Tian'er's words and instructed the disciples on the matters to take note of when entering the death swamp. Although Su Junqing liked to be flattered, he was very low-key in front of Yi Yunji. If he wasn't worried about getting injured in the swamp, he wouldn't have let Yi Yunji out. Yunjioga's pupils constricted when he saw Yi Yunji. Resentment rushed to his head from the bottom of his heart. If it wasn't for the fact that she couldn't change her expression after being poisoned, her face would have been terrifying. Senior Brother Yunjioga, what's wrong? Little Fatty noticed the change in Yunjioga's mood. It's nothing. Yunjioga looked down, hiding the anger in his eyes. You also feel that this swamp is very strange, right? Little Fatty said to himself. He thought that he would see a swamp filled with miasma, mosquitoes flying, and armored crocodiles everywhere. He never thought that it would be this quiet, anyone would feel that something was wrong. We still have to go in no matter how strange it is, there's no point in talking about it. Yunjioga lightly replied. Junior Brother Yunjioga is right, we've already come this far, there's no point in being afraid. Everyone has high-level black crystal water grass, so as long as we're careful, there won't be any problems. Remember to follow me closely. Su Junqing took out a yellow bead from his storage bag. This was the earth spirit bead. It was specially used to test whether it was possible to walk in the swamp. He saw him pour his spirit energy into the earth spirit bead and an earthy yellow light filled the air. Some places were very dark and some places were very thin. The dark places were possible to walk, while the thin places were the swamp. With this earth spirit bead, everyone successfully walked into the swamp. Yi Yunji walked quietly beside Su Junqing. Her red satin shoes were covered in a faint layer of gray air, making it seem like she was floating on the ground. Little Fatty's eyes lit up when he saw this. Previously, senior brother Yunjioga had reminded him to gather earth element under his feet, but he had never understood it. Now, he suddenly understood. A layer of yellow light appeared under his feet, making it much easier to walk on the muddy path. Use it sparingly, you don't have enough spirit energy, Ice Heart Lotus reminded him. This was not the time to cultivate. Oh. Little Fatty also realized that his spirit energy was depleting quickly, so he immediately stopped cultivating and focused on following the path that Su Junqing had created. From the outside, the swamp looked very calm, but once they entered, they realized that it was extremely hot and stuffy. It was like a steamer, making it hard for them to breathe. Sweat kept flowing out, and even drinking water was useless. The path was terrifyingly calm, as if they were walking in a graveyard. There was no sound at all, not even the sounds of insects, fish, birds, or beasts. Senior brother Yunjioga, something doesn't seem right. Little Fatty looked left and right, feeling a chill run down his spine. Yunjioga had been observing the swamp the whole time. When he heard Little Fatty's words, he took out a white feather-like leaf from his storage bag and threw it on the swamp. What is this? Little Fatty asked curiously. This is a white feather leaf, a medicinal herb used to dispel moisture. It can float on water and not sink, Yunjioga explained simply. Then why did you throw it here? Little Fatty didn't understand what dispelling moisture had to do with the swamp. You'll understand later. Yunjioga didn't explain and continued walking with Su Junqing. After walking through another 2 swamps, Little Fatty finally understood what Yunjioga meant. The white feather leaf that he had thrown out earlier appeared in front of him again. We've been walking in circles, Little Fatty cried out involuntarily. Su Junqing's expression turned ugly when he saw the white feather leaf. If it wasn't for Yunjioga's probing, he would probably have continued to lead the group in circles. Senior brother Yunjioga, have we encountered a ghost wall? Then what should we do? The disciples were all panicking, and all of them went to ask Yunjioga, leaving Su Junqing to the side. This isn't a ghost wall, it should be some kind of illusion technique. As for how to break it, we'll need to borrow senior brother Su's earth spiritual bead. Yunjioga looked at Su Junqing indifferently. She couldn't open her spiritual eye, so she could only rely on external objects. Chapter 322. Su Junqing's expression changed, but he still obediently took out the earth spirit bead. After Yunjioga injected spirit energy into the earth spirit bead, he first sent earth spirit energy in all 4 directions. Following that, he took out a red pill the size of a thumb, crushed it, placed it in his palm and blew it. The red powder drifted away along with the earth's spiritual power and finally gathered in a direction in the west and stopped moving. I never expected the fantasy-breaking pill to be used like this. What an eye-opener. Ice Heart Lotus said emotionally. His sister-in-law was a level 4 alchemist of the Een Corp sect. He had been by her side since he was young and thought that he had seen a lot. He never expected that he would gain new knowledge today. Everyone, attack that place with me. Yunjioga was the first to raise a black bone spike and attack the place where the red powder was gathered. Su Junqing also raised his demonic flower bone spike and turned into a black stream of light that followed behind Yunjioga's bone spike. Amidst the rumbling, a dark green flower suddenly appeared in the originally empty place. The stamen of the flower was in the shape of a bloody mouth and it was constantly breathing out black mist. Su Junqing pinched his fingers and the 3 black flowers on the demonic flower bone spike flew out and tore the strange green flower into pieces. After the illusion was dispelled, the real death swamp appeared in front of everyone. Rolling reddish-gray mist instantly appeared with mosquitoes flying around. The armored crocodiles were at their feet in the swamp, waiting for them to fall into the pot with their mouths wide open. Ah! A disciple accidentally fell into the swamp in a panic and was immediately drowned by the armored crocodiles. Yunjioga reacted quickly and shot out a yin chi rope to pull the person up. In the end, the area below his waist was badly mangled by the armored crocodiles. Many disciples turned pale with fright when they saw the bloody scene. The group began to panic. Everyone has the black crystal water grass on you. These armored crocodiles will not approach you. Just hold your ground. Su Junqing tried to calm the disciples but no one cared about him. Form groups of 10 and look out for each other. Pay attention to where you step. If you can't cross it, use the frigid frostine energy palm to seal off the path. We've already made it through the grasslands, so this little swamp is nothing. Yunjioga concentrated his energy into his dantian and his clear voice entered everyone's ears. Don't be afraid. Senior Yunjio will definitely lead us through this. Little Fatty and Ice Heart Lotus comforted. The disciples immediately quieted down. Only then did they realize that the black crystal water grass on them was emitting a black mist with a fishy smell. Not only did it isolate the red miasma, but it also prevented the mosquitoes from approaching. The armored crocodile also seemed to be quite afraid of the black mist. Yunjioga seemed to have forgotten that the Earth Spirit Pearl was borrowed from Junqing. He injected spirit energy into it and continued forward after confirming the path. Yunjioga seemed to have forgotten that he had borrowed the Earth Spirit Bead from Su Junqing. He inserted his spiritual power into it, and after confirming the route, he continued moving forward. Ice Heart Lotus and Little Fatty guarded her vigilantly, intentionally or unintentionally cutting Su Junqing apart. Su Junqing's face darkened, but she didn't mention anything about taking it back. Now that the disciples generally believed in her, it was useless to take it back. Yunjioga led the way while Ice Heart Lotus used her Frostbone Spike to create an ice path. The disciples behind him used their Frostine energy palms to slowly advance on the ice path. Yunjioga led the way. Ice Lotus used Frostbone Spikes to form an ice path. The disciples behind him used Frostine Palm and slowly advanced. Occasionally, disciples would be dragged into the water by the armored crocodiles. But overall, it was rather smooth. Yunjioga saw that the yellow mist had condensed into a large patch in front of him. It was obvious that there was a piece of solid ground for him to rest on. Yunjioga saw the brown mist condense in front of them. It was obvious that there was a piece of land for them to rest on. The land was about an acre wide. The brown soil was very hard. It was isolated from the surrounding swamp. It must have been condensed by the disciples of the past. Junior Yunjio. Su Junqing was about to retrieve the Earth Spirit Pearl. Suddenly, screams and the sound of the armored crocodiles chewing on bones came from the east of the miasma. Not only that, but they were also shooting out bone spikes. The reddish-gray miasma stirred. It was obvious that an intense battle had taken place. The disciples of the other outer sect peaks have been attacked. Yunjioga looked in that direction. He had no idea which outer sect peak it was. Little Fatty's heart sank. He really wanted to say that they should avoid it. They had a competitive relationship with the other outer sect disciples. It was good enough that they didn't hit them when they were down. Saving them was impossible. Who's in front? At this moment, a sharp female voice came from the front. It was Bailan's voice. Senior Sister Bailan, how are you guys? Su Junqing was delighted. Help had finally come. We've encountered a group of armored crocodiles. Junior Brother Su, hurry and bring people to help us. Bailan's voice was anxious. It looked like she couldn't hold on much longer. Junior Yunjio, why don't you come with me to save them? Su Junqing said. The disciples here need me more. Yunjioga rejected decisively. Previously, she gave Su Junqing face because she didn't want him to have an excuse. Now that the disciples were on her side, there was no need to put on an act. Su Junqing's face turned cold. He didn't continue persuading her. He only looked at the remaining Qi disciple level 5 disciples and the Lu sisters. Which one of you will come with me? The disciples all lowered their heads and pretended to be tired. The Lu sisters said pitifully, Senior brother, the two of us can't even protect ourselves. How can we save people? Good, good. You're all good. Su Junqing nodded viciously and turned to leave. Yi Yunji floated leisurely behind him, her red sleeves gradually disappearing into the miasma. Senior brother Yunjiu, senior brother Su seems angry. Little Fatty was a little worried that Su Junqing and Bai Lan would come back and cause trouble. We'll deal with it when it comes. Yunjioga wasn't afraid of them. Not long after, Su Junqing brought Bai Lan and the rest to this small piece of land. There were originally 1,000 disciples on peak number 3. Now, there were only 300 or so left. None of the rank 2 disciples were left. Apart from Bai Lan, the 300 people were all in a sorry state. They all had injuries on their bodies. It was obvious that they had experienced countless bloody battles. Junior brother Su is really capable. Bai Lan looked at the remaining 700 people on peak number 2. She was extremely shocked. This time, when they entered the small mystic realm, the situation they encountered was completely different from what the sect had provided. There was danger everywhere. She had relied on a rank 3 corpse Qi ghost lantern to protect so many high-level disciples. She had thought that her losses on peak number 3 were already considered low. She didn't expect Su Junqing to have even fewer. But the strange thing was that quite a few of Broom Chen's high-level disciples had died, but 2/3 of the rank 2 disciples had survived. It seemed like there was something fishy going on. Chapter 323. Senior sister, you must be joking. I don't have that ability. It's all thanks to junior brother Yunjiu. If he hadn't brought back a batch of high-grade black crystal aquatic grass from the black pool, we probably wouldn't have crossed the swamp so easily, Su Junqing said with a faint smile. High-grade black crystal aquatic grass. Bai Lan's eyes immediately lit up. They had previously gone to search for black crystal aquatic grass, but unfortunately, they had only brought back ordinary ones. As a result, they had lost dozens of people the moment they entered the swamp. If they had high-grade black crystal aquatic grass to protect themselves, they would be able to survive. That's right. Each disciple gets 2. I still have 10 left. Senior sister Bai Lan, take them if you want to use them. Su Junqing readily took out the black crystal aquatic grass. 10 was obviously not enough. Bai Lan immediately cast her gaze on the low-grade disciples and ordered, take out the aquatic grass. The low-grade disciples on peak number 2 had a change in expression. They looked at Su Junqing, only to see him smiling mockingly. He had no intention of standing up for them. Clearly, he was still holding a grudge against them for not giving him face. Do you want the grass or your life? Choose. Bai Lan raised her bone spear and aimed it at the low-grade disciples. The 300 or so high-grade disciples behind her also revealed ferocious expressions. They looked like they would snatch the grass at any moment of disagreement. Senior sister Bai Lan, let's talk this out. There's no need to resort to violence. Yunjioga raised his black bone spear and stood in front of Bai Lan. Junior brother Yunjiu is going against us. Bai Lan narrowed her eyes, overflowing with killing intent. The black crystal aquatic grass was related to their lives. Even if they had to kill someone, they had to snatch it back. Senior sister Bai Lan, you misunderstand. We are all from the same sect, so we naturally have to help each other. Yunjioga knew that falling out with Bai Lan would only result in both sides suffering. When that happened, the low-grade disciples would be the ones to suffer. He turned to the low-grade disciples and said, "Everyone, hand over the extra black crystal aquatic grass to me." This meant that he wanted to stand up for them. Here. Little Fatty and Ice Heart Lotus were the first to hand over their extra black crystal aquatic grass. The other disciples also handed in their weapons. They purposely kept the good ones and handed in the damaged ones. After Yunjioga collected the black crystal aquatic grass, he counted the number of people on Bailan's side, and then took out the worst 350, handing it to Bailan. "This is a token of our mountain number 2's disciples' appreciation. Please accept it, senior sister." Yunjioga emphasized the words "all the disciples." Fatty, Ice Heart Lotus, and the rest stood behind her with wary expressions. The rank 2 disciples gripped the bone spears in their hands, looking like they were ready to fight to the death. Bailan narrowed her slender eyes and stared at Yunjioga. The expression on Yunjioga's devilish face was normal, and he was not at a disadvantage when confronting Bailan. "Senior sister Bai, if you have something to use, then use it. Let's all take a step back. That way, it'll be easier for us to meet in the future." Yunjioga said coldly. Evil disciples also had to pay attention to morality. The other party had already offered their benefits, but you still wanted to dig up the other party's secrets. Don't blame the other party for risking their lives. Fine, you win. Bailan evaluated the strength of the two sides and found that she did not have the advantage. She could only fiercely take out the black crystal aquatic grass. Senior sister Bai is too polite. Yunjioga did not care about Bailan's anger at all. Bailan distributed the black crystal aquatic grass. The disciples with high cultivation bases took the best and the disciples with low cultivation bases took the worst. The remaining disciples of the third peak had the lowest cultivation base at the third level of Chi disciple. There were a few of them who secretly looked at the low-level disciples of the second peak, clearly not having good intentions. The low-level disciples had been moving in a group the entire time, but seeing these evil gazes, they hugged even tighter. Bailan did not care about the actions of these disciples. She enviously said to Su Junqing, "Your Yin corpse is really not bad. If it wasn't for Yi Yunji spitting out the Yin spirit cold chi to scare away those armored alligators, another group of disciples of the third peak would have died. It would be great if she could have a Yin corpse like this. Senior sister is too kind." Su Junqing humbly said. "I heard that she has a little brother called Yi Yu." Bailan lowered her voice. This news was not a secret in the Yin corpse sect. Many people had secretly gone to the Thunder Country to find Yi Yu. It was a pity that none of them succeeded. It was said that he went with Yunjioga to the 10,000 mountains to find an opportunity. That's right. Su Junqing nodded. I heard that blood-related people have the easiest physique. You are most familiar with the Yi clan, why don't you tell senior sister some information? Senior sister won't forget your kindness. Bailan said with a charming gaze. Senior sister, it's not that I don't want to help you, it's that I don't know where Yi Yu went. Su Junqing had a helpless expression. He already knew that the chances of him taking down Yi Yu was very small. This was because even Elder Mo Hua had sent people to the 10,000 mountains to find him. The two of them were focused on their conversation and didn't notice that Yi Yunji's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Her red sleeves were tightly clenched. Yunjioga had been secretly paying attention to Yi Yunji's movements, so he naturally noticed her abnormality. It seemed that Yi Yu was indeed Yi Yunji's reverse scale. Even though the power of the treasure map had been sealed, it still affected her. Yunjioga was afraid that Su Junqing would notice Yi Yunji's abnormality, so he hurriedly said, "Everyone is almost done resting, let's get ready to set off. Junior brother Su, there aren't many disciples left on both sides, why don't we join together?" Bailan took the initiative to suggest to Su Junqing. The remaining disciples on peak number 3 were all high-level disciples. After joining peak number 2, they would naturally be able to crush those low-level disciples. Su Junqing was about to agree when he heard Yunjioge say, "There's no need. You go your own way, I'll go mine. It's best if we don't interfere with each other." "Why, are you in charge of peak number 2 now?" Bailan raised her brows and glanced at Su Junqing. Before Su Junqing could say anything, all the disciples on peak number 2 responded in unison, "We'll listen to senior brother Yunjioge." Su Junqing's earlier actions had already bitterly disappointed them, not to mention that Yunjioge had helped them through this entire journey. No wonder. "Senior sister Bai, as you can see, I've been robbed of my power." Su Junqing laughed coldly, but he was in no hurry. The true danger of the little secret realm was with the human-faced peach. Even if Yunjioge took the position of leader, he would not be able to deal with it. "Junior brother Yunjioge is really bold, but I like it." Bailan threw a no at Yunjioge. After relieving her worries, she was finally in the mood to flirt with men. Yunjioge faced her coldly and did not reply. He called for Ice Heart Lotus, Little Fatty, and the rest to prepare to set off. "Junior brother Yunjioge, are you really not coming with us?" Bailan asked, unwilling to give up. She also could not understand why junior brother Yunjioge would be so protective of those low-level disciples when they were all trash. Yunjioge used his actions to express himself, leading the disciples on peak number 2 in another direction and leaving. Chapter 324. Tisk, junior brother Su sure has a good temper. Are you really going to let an outer disciple walk all over your head like that? Bailan felt that Su Junqing was really a coward. He couldn't even watch over the disciples he was leading. What else could he do? Picking the human-faced peaches is the most important thing. When the time comes, he'll understand. Su Junqing laughed coldly. That's true. Bailan looked at the disciples behind her. She didn't know how many of them would survive the last round. After Yunjioge and the rest left Su Junqing and Bailan, they successfully left the Death Swamp and arrived at the Human-Faced Mountain. The Human-Faced Mountain was hundreds of zhang tall. The mountain rocks were black with traces of blood. From afar, it looked like the face of a man in deep thought. It was a rather handsome man's face. The human-faced peach forest grew on the top of the man's face, which was the peak. Everyone be careful. Yunjioge had thought that climbing the mountain would be another adventure. He didn't expect to reach the peak so smoothly. A cool breeze blew. At a glance, there was a lush peach forest. These peach trees weren't tall, and their leaves weren't lush. However, they were quite good at fruit. Green peaches the size of a human head hung from the branches. They didn't seem to be fully ripe yet. When Yunjioge and the rest entered the peach forest, the originally quiet peach trees seemed to be startled awake. Following that, the peaches all trembled slightly. Faces appeared on them, opening their eyes and looking at them greedily. Among them were wrinkled old men and women, young men and women with smooth skin, and adorable little children. Although there were all kinds of faces, all of them had a ferocious expression. They looked at Yunjioge and the rest like they were looking at prey. These peaches look so disgusting. Lu Tian'er had a look of disgust. She couldn't imagine how she was going to swallow them. Senior brother Yunjio, should we pick them now? Little Fatty didn't find it disgusting. As long as it was helpful for cultivation, he could swallow it no matter how disgusting it was. However, these human-faced peaches were mainly for corpses. Living people couldn't eat them. Everyone, check the surroundings carefully. See if there are any demonic beasts guarding. Yunjioge felt that this human-faced peach forest wouldn't be so simple. She led Little Fatty, Ice Heart Lotus and company around twice but did not discover any traces of demonic beasts nearby. The entire peach forest was even quieter than a graveyard. Senior brother Yunjio, the people from Peak 1, Peak 4, and Peak 5 are here, Lu Mei said, pointing at the foot of the mountain. Yunjioge walked over to take a look and saw that a large group of outer court disciples had already arrived at the foot of the mountain and were preparing to climb up. Senior brother Yunjio, let's hurry up and pick the peaches. Little Fatty said anxiously. Otherwise, it would be another round of fighting once the other disciples arrived. There's no rush. I'll try picking one first. Yunjioga took the lead. She first summoned 3 bone spikes and placed them around her body. Then, she carefully walked towards the human-faced peach. Finally, she chose one that looked like a beautiful peach and slowly stretched out her hand. Pa! Before she could even touch the peach, she was hit by a stone. Yunjioga turned his head to look and saw a figure standing on the peach tree. He had gray hair and gray eyes, and there was a drop of blood between his eyebrows. He was beautiful yet strange. Who else could it be but Teacher Zishang? Reaching out to pick it? You're too daring. Zishang came to Yunjioga's side and tried to grab her waist. Why are you here? Yunjioga slapped Zishang's hand away. This guy had mysteriously slipped away halfway. If he didn't give her an explanation, he wouldn't be able to get close to her. I found something good here. You'll definitely like it. Zishang blinked his gray eyes, looking as if he wanted to know. How do you know I'll like it? Yunjioga rolled her eyes. If you want to say it, then don't. Are you really not going to ask? These human-faced peaches are very interesting. Zishang continued to tempt her. Such a large peach forest is right here. Can't I find it myself? Why would I ask you? If he couldn't find it, then so be it. In any case, she wouldn't let Zishang do as he wished. TSK, little Jioga is getting less and less cute. Zishang shook his head. This girl was getting harder and harder to please. It's better if you don't love me. Yunjioga was so focused on bickering with Zishang that she forgot that Little Fatty and Ice Heart Lotus were bitterly waiting for her to pick the peaches. Senior brother Yunjio can't be possessed, right? Ice Heart Lotus said worriedly. Don't worry. I'll try using a big move. Little Fatty was an impatient person. He immediately raised his mountain bone spike and flew towards Yunjioga. Yunjioga subconsciously released a gray light, sending Little Fatty's mountain bone spike flying. Plop! The peach on the head of an old man with a face full of wrinkles fell to the ground after being cut off by the mountain bone spike. Yunjioga was about to pick it up when Zishang pulled her back. The next moment, the old man's eyes turned blood red. He flew towards Little Fatty at an unbelievable speed. Be careful. Ice Heart Lotus pushed Little Fatty away and raised her frostbone spike. She had been condensing ice to help everyone on their journey. Her speed had also been trained. The cold air instantly froze the old man's head. F***CK, what kind of freaking peach is this? It can even fly. Little Fatty still had a lingering fear. He felt that the peach was no better than a demonic beast. Just as he finished speaking, Ice Heart Lotus suddenly shouted, "Not good." The human-faced peach actually broke through the ice seal and pounced on a low-level disciple. It opened its bloody mouth and bit down. That low-level disciple didn't even have time to scream before he was sucked dry and turned into a piece of human skin. After the old man's head sucked its fill of flesh and blood, it closed its eyes. Its expression became incomparably peaceful. The greenish-white skin turned bright red, and a ripe fragrance wafted out. Is this why you didn't let me pick the peach? Yunjioga's expression was solemn. She didn't expect that the ripe human-faced peach would actually devour a person's flesh and blood. That's right. Zishang nodded. Senior brother Yunjio, this peach is too evil. The Lu sisters looked at the densely packed faces in the peach forest. They only felt their stomachs churning. It was incomparably disgusting. Jean Lin, what's going on with me? Yunjioga looked at Little Fatty. She didn't believe that Little Fatty didn't know the truth behind the human-faced peach. I really didn't know that this human-faced peach could actually eat people. My uncle only said that every year when the outer sect disciples enter the little secret realm, they have to pick 500 human-faced peaches. If they don't pick enough, they won't be able to open the little secret realm. Little Fatty was so scared that his round face turned pale. His uncle had only given him a stack of defensive talismans and told him to take it easy and just hang on until the end. My sister-in-law also said the same thing. Ice Heart Lotus also had quite a number of defensive talismans on her. Yunjioga frowned. She finally understood why so many low-level disciples entered the little secret realm to pick human-faced peaches. They were using human lives to speed up the ripening of the peaches. The Corpse sect was truly evil. They didn't care about human lives at all. Chapter 325. You weren't the one who let them in. Don't push the blame onto yourself. Zishang rubbed Yunjioga's head. As long as this little head was fine, nothing else mattered to him. You're not a good person either. Yunjioga glared at him. Of all the demons and ghosts, demons were indeed the worst. Just look at Zishang and you'll know. Zishang rubbed his nose and silently retreated to the side. A woman who liked to vent her anger on others was not to be trifled with. Woo, senior brother Yunjio, we don't want to die. Many of the rank 2 disciples began to cry. They had gone through so much to get here, but they had not expected that they would become nourishment for the human-faced peaches. This was too cruel. Don't worry, I won't feed you to the human-faced peaches. These low-level disciples were from the same sect as her. They had always been cultivating honestly and had never made any mistakes. They should not die here. That's not up to you to decide. A loud voice rang out from behind Yunjioga. Yunjioga turned around and saw that Wolf Fong and the Han brothers had brought the outer sect disciples over. Although the 3 of them had encountered danger after entering the pocket dimension, they had always been cautious. Thus, their losses were not too great. Basically, each of them had left behind 500 disciples. Adding up to 1,500 people, they were able to completely crush Yunjioga's group. What is the meaning of this, senior brother Han? Yunjioga looked coldly at the incoming group. Where's senior brother Su? Han Xiaoxi did not answer the question. He looked left and right and did not see Su Juanxing's figure. Could it be that he had died? That was impossible. That brat had obtained many benefits from Elder Mo Hua, and he also had the corpses protecting him. Even if they all died, he would not die. Senior brother Su and senior sister Bai Lan are behind. Yunjioga replied lightly, then asked, how does senior brother Han plan to pluck the human-faced peaches? She did not believe that the disciples behind the Han brothers would be willing to die. Hee hee. Han Xiaoxi glanced at Yunjioga and the rest with a malicious look. Naturally, the weaklings will go first. What he meant was that he wanted to force Yunjioga and the rest to go first, so that they could sit back and reap the benefits. Dream on. Ice Heart Lotus was enraged. Frostbone spikes burst out with Chi. Little Fatty and the Loose sisters also took out their bone spears. Junior apprentice brother Bing, Junior apprentice brother Jean Lin, Junior apprentice brother Yunjiao, and Junior apprentice sister Lu, there's no need to be so angry. The weaklings I'm talking about aren't you guys? Why don't you all come over to our side? When the time comes, everyone will hand over the human-faced peaches together and the sect will split the rewards together. Han Xiaoxi chuckled, planning to split Bing Xinlian and the others up. The disciples of peak number 2 became nervous. They were afraid that Ice Lotus and senior brother Yunjiao would really abandon them. Yunjioga nodded and said, senior martial brother Han is right, the weak go first. Senior brother Ninth Cloud. Ice Heart Lotus widened her eyes in disbelief. She could not believe that the person she admired would be so heartless. Yunjioga ignored him and continued to speak to Han Xiaoxi. So, you guys go first. What? Han Xiaoxi thought he had misheard. Didn't you say that weaklings go first? Yunjioga raised his eyebrows and glanced at him with disdain. Then why don't you hurry up and go in to pick the peaches? Before Han Xiaoxi could regain his senses, the disciples of peak number 2 were already cheering. Ice Heart Lotus and Little Fatty even pointed their middle fingers at Han Xiaoxi excitedly. Coward, weakling, you guys go first. I say, junior brother Ninth Cloud, are you blind or did a donkey kick you in the head? Can't you tell who's the weak one? Han Xiaoxi was so angry that he laughed. Ignoring the strength of the two brothers and Wolf Fang, the disciples behind them had all been eliminated through several dangerous situations. Even the weakest among them was Qi Refinement Level 3 and their battle abilities were very strong. Although there were more than 700 disciples on peak number 2, more than half of them were Stage 2 disciples. How could they fight against them? Of course, Yin Jioge was not kicked by a donkey. At that moment, Zi Shang was squatting on a tree not far from Wolf Fang and the Han brothers. With a single command from her, she could chop off their heads and feed them peaches. However, Yin Jioge did not want to do that. She took out her bone spear and said to the Han brothers, "We'll know who's stronger after a battle." "Alright, then let us fight you." Han Xiaodong jumped out first. 2 against 1. Aren't you two too shameless? Ice Heart Lotus said angrily. We brothers have always fought together. If you're afraid of death, just admit defeat. Although Han Xiaodong looked like a butcher, he was actually very cunning and never underestimated his enemies. No matter who he faced, he would fight together with his brothers. Senior brother Ninth Cloud, I'll fight with you. Ice Heart Lotus pulled out her bone spear, looking full of fighting spirit. There's no need. Stand down. Yin Jioge had her own reasons for challenging the Han brothers. She was not acting on impulse. Junior brother Ninth Cloud, you have guts. Han Xiaodong gave a thumbs up. Before he finished his sentence, a bone spear that looked like a dog beating stick smashed towards her face. Han Xiaoxi also took out his bone spear to seal off Yin Jioge's path. The two brothers attacked without even saying a word. They were extremely despicable. If it were anyone else, they would have fallen for it. Thankfully, Yin Jioge was prepared. With a wave of her psychedelic bone spear, a black mist instantly spread and covered her figure. The Han brothers immediately became cautious when their attacks missed. They immediately recalled their bone spears and carefully examined the black mist in front of them. Zi Shang, come in. Yin Jioge silently called out to the mark. What's the matter? Zi Shang jumped into the black mist from the tree. When I attack later, help me hold the Han brothers in place. However, don't let them notice anything amiss. Yin Jioge did not have time to waste with the two brothers. She had to strike them with one strike and completely scare them. However, she could not do it with her current strength. She could only ask Zi Shang for help. Where's the reward? Yin Jioge had not asked him for help in a long time. He would be a fool if he did not seize the opportunity to ask for the reward. For you. Yin Jioge generously wrapped her arms around Zi Shang's neck and kissed him on tiptoe. Zi Shang's left hand embraced her waist and deepened the kiss while his right hand groped her body. The Han brothers never expected their opponent to be in the mood to hide in the black mist and kiss in such a tense battle atmosphere. Furthermore, his actions were getting more and more erotic. Xiaoxi, why don't we force our way in? Han Xiaodong looked at the calm black mist solemnly. The bone spear in his hand shone with a cold light. Back when he and his younger brother wandered about, they were chased by people and dogs. They had suffered countless hardships, so when he was refining his bone spear, he subconsciously refined a dog-beating stick. Let's go. Han Xiaoxi nodded without hesitation. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.